Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Shooting Gallery. Beast of the East versus Bay Area Breakers. I'm B-Ron, alongside with me my broadcast partner Siege. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm so excited. This is a beautiful arena we got here. I don't know if you know this, but this piece behind us in the broadcast booth is a $3 million piece, actually. Bay Area Breakers, they're lucky to play in a beautiful gallery like this. You know, we've got two of the highly touted teams in the league, both trying to prove themselves tonight, and it should be a great matchup here. We're lucky to be calling it.
Absolutely, and there is a quick bucket to begin the game there. Quick three-pointer falls for the Beast of the East. Beast of the East entering 8-2, 8-3. 8-3, lose to the Alaskan Rocky Mountain Monsters. Bay Area Breakers got their last win last night against Lone Star. They are entering this one 7-2.
Yeah, and Bay Area Breakers last night was a great game to watch. They took down Lone Star Basketball Club, one of the better teams in the league as well. You know, they've got a really well-rounded roster, got a really big roster, and they're a tough team to beat. But Bay Area Breakers really ran away with it. It was a close game. The score didn't tell the whole story by the end of it. Very back and forth. Bay Area ran it up a little bit at the end of the game, but big storyline for me for Bay Area is they've got a new player on the team in Sean Hyman, younger brother of Trey Hyman, the absolute animal inside, just kind of uncontainable. And Trey had one of his best games of the season last night. And I like to think that his brother kind of elevated his game. You got that chemistry there. They've known each other their whole lives. And I'm excited to see if, you know, it's crazy to think that Trey Hyman's game could be elevated even more, but if he can keep up the pace of play he had last game with his brother next to him, this team's going to be even more dangerous than we thought they were.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Siege. You know, the Breakers, we expected, they came to the season, we wanted them to be good. We expected them to be good. Beast of the East, some would say they overachieved to begin the year, now in April, but they have come out and they started the season very, very well. So it's a matter of which one of these teams is going to prove themselves tonight. Now, there's more chance to do that, obviously, not just this one game, but this one game could make a huge difference down the road, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to rack up wins wherever you can, especially when it's over quality teams. But really, more than getting a win against a quality team, you want to prove to yourself you can do it. You want to prove to yourself and you want to prove to everyone that you can beat those tough teams. But even more than that is figuring out your game. And when you can beat a team who plays a really good game, you know that your game plan is working. You know that your players are firing on all cylinders. You know your team chemistry is there. And this Bay Area Breakers team that not only is stacked with talent and an absolute monster in Trey Hyman, who's unguardable inside. I mean, he's the biggest 17-year-old I've ever seen in my entire life. He's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree 100% there. As Logan Cutler gets a bucket there, it's 9-6 Beast of the East. Go ahead, Siege.
But when you can prove to yourself you can beat these tough teams, it bodes well for the rest of the season because every team is still figuring stuff out. Every team's going to look a little bit different come postseason time. But if you can early figure out how to beat a good team, you can always have that in your back pocket while you're tinkering and figuring out what works best for you. You know that you can beat these good teams and you keep those strategies in your back pocket. So that's a lot about what this game is tonight, is figuring out how to play against tough competition.
Oh, exactly. Xavier Pope got that last bucket for the Breakers as they trail by 9-8. With 4:25 now to go here in the first quarter of play. Good rebound there for the Breakers. Sean Hyman with it now, trying to make something happen for himself. Decides to give it up. Probably a good idea there. But there is a leaning jumper from Xavier Pope. Xavier Pope has really impressed me. Again, you know, him, Trey Hyman, and we saw a few other players in the preseason really gel together very quickly, very early, you know, and that is impressive in and of itself for those players to be able to gel that quickly.
I mean, absolutely, and we talk about some teams we've seen that maybe didn't gel that quickly but have a stacked roster. We look specifically, I know Gotham 5 kind of had a tough start to the season. We saw them last night too get a great win. But that's one thing that's really tough, especially when you're talking about high school basketball and you're talking about kids that are 16, 17 years old, is when you've got a roster with 7 top 100 rated players, like Bay Area Breakers do, and not just 7 top 100, but they've got 4 top 25 guys. It's, can you get them to work together? Can you get them to kind of gel and get those guys to say, hey, I'm going to play the role that I need to play for this team to be successful? Not I'm going to go out and try to score 25, 30 every game, because then you're not going to have that cohesion. And that's something I think Dre Pope and Bay Area Breakers have done a really good job, is they gel with each other. They've got that chemistry. You know, Sean Hyman's new to the team. He came in, took a starting spot. And with that, you've got 3 top 100 guys coming off the bench. And there aren't a lot of teams in the league that have that kind of depth. So to be able to take that back seat and be able to do that is something I really will give credit to this team for doing.
Exactly. BCEs are trailing 17-9. We're going to take a quick break, come right back. Welcome back to the shooting gallery. Breakers up 17-9 as we resume play here. 2:35 to go in the first quarter of play. So some switches made for the Beats of the East there. The new players on the court. 3 ball up. No good.
And B, I was asked this question by E last night on the broadcast, and I'd like to get your take on it.
Sure.
What are your top 4 favorite teams in the league? And you can take into account, you know, both who you think the best teams with the best chance to go all the way are, as well as your favorite teams to watch. Kind of a mix of the two.
Okay. That's a really good question. I like that. In no particular order is fine?
No particular order.
Okay. All right. Before we get to my answers to your question, though, it's Jimmy King at the line for the Breakers. Jimmy's first free throw attempt up and good. So my top 4 teams, let's go. I got Run DMB up there. I've got H-Town up there. Yacht Club, and run number 4 team. That number 4 one is kind of tough, but I think I would have to put the Breakers on that list as well.
It's a great list you got, B.
It was off the cuff on the spot too, so
yeah, really put down the spot there.
Yeah, a little better one, but yeah.
Maybe refine it. We'll have a better one later.
And, you know, one of the things that we've seen a lot this season is the infusion of family. Vin Diesel would be proud of all the family that has entered SimWorld this season. The Bronny and Bryce James. No relation to the other Jameses, Benari, Barkley, and Isaiah on the court now. Barkley played really well, and Isaiah's on the court for the Beast of the East. How much of an impact does the Family Connection have, Siege?
Well, we were talking about that last night. And first of all, shout out Barkley James, one of the most disgusting performances I've ever seen. He only missed one shot, and it was in the last minute and a half of the game. I mean, he was sensational last night. I think he hit 10 for 10 from 3. He was lights out. It was unbelievable. Outshone his brother Benari, who gets a lot of the spotlight. He was amazing. But back to your question, we talked about the idea of Sean Hyman elevating Trey Hyman's game, and the idea that in basketball, more than any other sport, fit and chemistry are so important. You can see a player be really good on one team that he has great chemistry, great fit in the scheme, go to another team where he doesn't have that, fit in that scheme and not look like the same player at all. Last night I specifically cited Russell Westbrook and how we've seen him go from one LA team where he looked like his career was just about over to now with the Clippers where he's making a huge impact in the playoffs. I mean, fit and scheme in basketball, more important than any other sport. And when you're playing alongside someone who knows you as well as a brother does, and you have that kind of chemistry, it's going to elevate your game. It's going to kind of bring that brotherly aspect to the whole team too. And it's going to really elevate the chemistry of the whole team in most cases. So I
Yeah, and having that chemistry at any level matters. As you said, at this level, I particularly think it's more important. We'll come back to that first quarter ends. Bay Area Breakers are up at the end of it. Come back for second quarter here at the Shooting Gallery in Richmond.
25.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shooting Gallery here in Richmond. Breakers up at the end of one quarter. Anything you saw in that first quarter that really stuck out to you, Siege?
Sean Hyman looked like an absolute dog. 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. He's got a big game to live up to, and he doesn't have quite the size that Trey does, but he's got that dog in him. He looks like he wants this spot on this team. He wants to contribute, and he's doing it so far. That's a tough 3, though, from Isaiah James, brother of Benari and Barkley James. We talked about that brotherly chemistry, that brotherly love. I'm not so sure it's there with Isaiah, and maybe that's why he found a nice role on a different team. And I'm sure he wants to show that he's just as talented as his brothers. So we'll be looking for him to make that impact all the time. Wow.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Siege, but my goodness. We've seen a lot of those kinds of plays too this season, more so than last. And I think a lot of it comes down to the amount of talent that has entered the league since last season. Not a slight in any respect to any players who were here last season that are still currently here, of course. But there has been just an influx of talent all across the board here in Sim World Hoops. It's made for some very entertaining basketball they get in the season, Steve.
Absolutely, Sim World Hoops, the most electrifying basketball league in. Oh my God, King! He's playing like a king. And I'll tell you what, the thing about Jimmy King is, he's a guard, I guess a wing. He's 6'4". He's 215 pounds, and you can see it on him. His shoulders are broad. He's got big. He's a big kid. It's a big guard. That's tough for a 6'3", 6'4" high school guard to stay in front of and guard. He's a bully. He's a bully.
Yep. Absolutely. The crazy thing is, see, he's only 15.
That's insane. What are they feeding these kids?
I wish I knew, man.
I'd like to see the grocery receipt from Jimmy King's mom. What's going on here?
What are y'all feeding him, and how can I get some? I'm small over here.
I don't have enough apartment to house that size. Won't fit in my bed.
Oh man, there's a 3-ball that does not go. We've seen the Beasts really take a lot of threes here, and they've fallen for the most part. I think that's one of the ways they're staying in this game. Besides, of course, they play up Eric Busk, who is 4 assists entering the quarter. Siege.
Eric Busk has been a great point guard so far. He's facilitating well. He's finding his teammates, and what a absolute block party here from Levin Cutler. And Levin Cutler's a guy who's, he's 6'9". He's a little undersized when you look at him next to Trey Hyman, but not in reality. 6'9", 16-year-old, that's not small by any means. Levin Cutler is one of the guys who really brings this team, together, who makes them as good as they are. Number 30 ranked in the league, in the top 100. He is an all-around really great big man to have on your team, and he's going up against one that's touted as arguably the best big in the league. And he's out to prove himself. And there he is, that dog, Sean Hyman, again on the boards.
Right place at the right time. You mentioned height a second ago, Siege. Beast of the East is actually, on average, the taller of these two teams. Beast of the East average height is 6'5". But the Breakers average height is 6'4". So they are, comparable in terms of height. But there's Freed Redmond, and that 3-ball falls. Love to see the 3-pointers fall, and Beasts are doing a really good job of making them hurt tonight. Even though they're trailing in the game, those threes will keep you around in the game.
Absolutely, and they've got to do whatever they can to keep up with Bay Area Breakers. Beasts of the East are very good, one of the highly touted teams in the league, but Bay Area Breakers has a little talent over them, and they're going to have to do what they can to stay in this game, because right now it's looking like Bay Area Breakers are kind of running away with it.
Yeah, they're going to have to do whatever they can, and that's the thing too, as Caden Ship got that layup to fall. But it seems like no matter how much offensive firepower you have, the Breakers just have more of it in more spots, especially in a game like this one where everybody on the Breakers can really get their own shot, or make the difficult shots that get them to fall. The Beasts may not have the capabilities to do that. Not in the spurts not in huge spurts like the Breakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, everybody on this Bay Area Breakers team can put the ball in the basket, can make their own shot, can do a lot of things. We talked about them having 7 ranked players. We're talking about they have 3 guys on their roster who aren't ranked in the top 100, and those 3 guys consist of Sean Hyman, who I would not be surprised if he's ranked before too long, Jimmy King, who's shown us that he's a force, and then you got one of the team captains, Blake Gilmanwater, who also very talented player, great leader. So this Bay Area roster is absolutely stacked, and as the season goes and they get their fit together and they get their flow together, they're going to be a really scary team down the road.
Yeah, and we had said that in all the preseason talk that this team was definitely one of the scariest teams in Sim World. There was some people saying they might go undefeated too, which I didn't see that happen. That was a little too crazy for my taste. But they had the talent to certainly be a force in the league for sure. Breakers back in possession of it here. Down to 250 in the second quarter of play. Another tough one, but that one does not go. Beast with it the other way here. Ooh, very nice.
Full stop and go there.
Yeah, very nice stop and go there. Kamarian Goodyear, one of the very talented new players joining the team. Him and Reed Redmond joining the team over the offseason, being committed to the Beast of the East. What do you think about those two players and how they impact this team?
Well, Fareed Redmond goes without saying. I mean, he's one of the better players in the league. He's in the top echelon of the league players, and he's very good. He's a big reason this team is where they are. Kamarian Goodyear, also very talented. After that little stop and go there, I bet he just got some new Goodyear tires because that was some nice traction on there. But yeah, both very talented players. I mean, this team they play well as a team. They got a lot of talent. But those are two of the guys that make it go. Them and Levin Cutler, those are the guys who make this team what they are.
Yeah, of course. And you can't forget. First of all, you can't forget the guard Caden Shipp. I know you were shading him, but that didn't work at all.
Not at all.
That brings me a question that I have for you. See, do you think that shading like that is effective and can be effective as a defensive strategy? Because when it's not done well like that, you allow easy buckets like that.
I mean, you can only shade. You have to be a really good defensive team to employ that strategy. Also, it doesn't work against every player. Some players are very talented, very versatile to the point where no matter how you guard them, if you guard them like that and give them any way that's easy to score, they're going to be able to. Caden Shipp's one of those guys. He can do a lot of things on the court, specifically on the offensive end. In general, that's not going to work on him. But for that to be a good defensive tactic, what you have to have is great rotation on the defensive side. You got to have everyone paying attention, everyone rotating to their spots well, great help defense. You got to have a big who can swat shots. You got to have those guys so that if that guy takes that lane and he goes to score, you got guys who are going to rotate, take the charge, guys who are going to rotate, swat the ball. I mean, that's a real, it seems like a one-player tactic. You see people employ it in pickup games. You can't drive to the left. But when it comes to this level of basketball, you got a lot of talent on the court. It's got to be a team tactic. You got to know that this is what we're doing against this player. It's got to be something employed by the team so that everyone knows this is what we're doing. I got to get to my spot. I got to rotate. And right there, it didn't look like they were maybe paying so much attention to that one. But it can be effective. Not against a guy level of Caden Shipp unless you have elite defenders around you.
Exactly. Caden Shipp, he has interest from Gonzaga and the two Oregon teams, the Oregon State Beavers and the Oregon Ducks. Personally, I think he would look really good in the Oregon Ducks uniforms, but I think anyone would look good in those uniforms, to be fair.
I mean, this guy's gonna look good on the court no matter what he's wearing. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I do think that his play style and the way he plays really it kind of fits to me with the kind of lineage of Gonzaga point guards we've seen, in the lineage of Gonzaga ball handlers and scorers we've seen. I think he really fit that scheme there well. Not to say he wouldn't fit in really just about any scheme. He could play for any of those schools and be a really great piece. Me personally, if I'm Gonzaga, I'm going after him hard because I think he's going to fit my scheme well. He's going to be a great guard for me, and I want him on my roster.
There's always going to be those players that transcend scheme, and in a sport like basketball where, there's 5 guys on the court at all times, at some point scheme and things go out the window and it's just a one-on-one. If you can beat your man and get to the bucket, that's all that really matters at the end of the day, and get points.
Absolutely, and I think at this level that happens not quite as much as you see it happen on a professional level because, these guys are good, very talented players. But when you get to the pro level and you've got guys that can really score on anybody in the world, I mean, that's when you kind of see a little more of that, some of that ISO ball comes out. And we see it come out here, but I think in this league specifically, where there's a lot of talent, you can't rely too much on one guy to kind of do that. I mean, you've got the Bronny James of the leagues, you got the DJ Wagners who can do that, but for the most part, you got to have a good scheme in place.
Yeah, exactly. We've reached halftime here. Breakers still out in front of this one. Siege, we've had a very interesting first half of play. A lot of talk from us, a lot of action in the court as well. Anything that you've seen throughout the first half, as far as adjustments wise, that you would make heading into the second half for either team?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being East here, I got to find a way to get some guys open, get some shots, and defensively, they've got to do something about their rotation. They got to get some help defense going because there's a lot of guys on this Bay Area Breakers team. You've got to bring that help defense for us.
Absolutely. You see the numbers there on your screen. Breakers 5 steals. It's really been a big part of their effort. It allows that field goal percentage to be very high as well. It's going to be a very fun second half here. Caden Ship leading the way with 12. Kamarian Goodyear with 9 for the Beast of the East. second half. Here, the shooting gallery. The Bees to the East are shooting well from 3, but they're trailing in this one, 43-35. And Steve, we haven't look at stats. We're out of the break here. What did you see on those that's kind of been the story so far for the game?
I mean, the story is, we talked about it earlier, I know these are both very highly touted teams, but even with that being said, so far the story's been Beast of the East trying to keep up with Bay Area Breakers. I mean, they've been, and the thing is, they're shooting well from 3, over 40%. They're hitting their shots. I think really what they got to do is find a way to defend. Another storyline here, we got Caden Shipp looking like Caden Shipp of old. I mean, they're giving him a chance to ball out, and he's doing it. I think he's taking advantage of the way Beast of the East are kind of defending him. They're putting a little more highlight on the Trey Hymans of the team and the Royce Andersons of the team, and Xavier Pope came out hot. They're putting a little pressure on him, and Caden Shipp is saying, I'm just as good, if not better, than a lot of those guys. I just facilitate a lot, so he's taken over tonight. The last storyline I've seen so far, and this is going to be the big one. This is going to be the big one for Beast of the East if they're going to somehow pull this game out right now. The boards. They're getting outboarded like crazy. No fault of their own, to be honest. I mean, the Bay Area Breakers are huge. They've got great size, great boards, but Beast of the East got to put bodies on those guys. They got to find a way to get these boards, or they're not going to get this win tonight.
Yeah, exactly. They got to find a way to figure it out. And, you know, I want to talk about Caden Shipp for a second, because I was very high on Caden Shipp last season, and he played really well he played well last season, but there were some games where he didn't look like he was going to be the guy for the Breakers last season. But this year with the additions of, you know, Trey Hymans, Xavier Pope, Royce Anderson, I had concerns too, because I'm like, okay, well, you know, he might take a back seat to some of these new players coming in. And honestly, it hasn't happened. He's been just as effective in various different ways throughout the season for the Breakers.
Absolutely, and that's something we talked about before when it comes to fit and getting everyone to play their role and be willing to be part of a team with a lot of really talented guys. Is Caden Shipp in certain games? Maybe last year, you know, he was a little bit more of the star piece. But he realized, hey, if I'm going to win championships, if I'm going to win, I want to be part of a team with a lot of good players. I want to be part of a team that can do something. So Caden Shipp knows on days that someone else has a hot hand, or on days where he needs to be a facilitator, or on days where he just needs to be a defensive and a ball movement guy, he's willing to take that role. And on days where he gets to show off scoring like he is right here, he can do that too. And he's showing that he's an all-around player. He's a team player, and that's a guy you want. They try to double him here even. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Caden Shipp is looking like an animal tonight. I mean, he heard us talking about his college choices, and he said, let me see if I can get a couple more of those getting in there. Maybe I can get a few offers.
Right, maybe they going from Kansas or something. I don't know, man. look, that's the first baseball that comes to mind is Kansas for me. We're one of my favorite teams in Maryland. So yeah, leave me alone.
that's a blue blood program, B-Ron. That's a good choice. There it is. They're hitting their threes.
There it is. That's Kamari and Goodyear getting that one to fall. 49-42. Breakers out in front. And we talked about the talent of Caden Shipp a minute ago, and I spoke about the new talent coming in. Trey Hyman, Xavier Pope, Royce Anderson. And the thing that really impresses me about Caden in this situation is that he decided, with the new talent coming in, no, I'm going to stay, and I'm going to be a part of this team. Sure, I could be a star somewhere else, and I could get mine, but he decided to stay here, where we've seen multiple players in the off season. You know, Jason Tada comes to mind. Leave the Showtime when the Jane Brothers joined up. So that says something to me too. I'm by the Breakers. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back for the rest of the third quarter. Welcome back, everyone. Breakers still leading this one. Beast East are really doing a good job of hanging in the game, though. But CJ, wanted to get your thoughts. Who you went away? Talked about the talent and certain star players leaving and staying and all that other stuff. What? I'm trying to pose a question. I can't think of the words right now for it. But what do you think when you see a star player like Caden Shipp stay on a team like the Breakers despite all the talent coming in?
I mean, to be honest, not to exaggerate, but I think he's him. I think he's him in a lot of ways. One, he's not scared of a challenge. You don't want a player who's scared to take on a challenge, because you're going to play a lot of challenging teams that are going to challenge you defensively, and he's not scared. Two, I think of a guy who's team-oriented, willing to take that back seat some days, willing to not have the spotlight on him all the time. And three, I see a guy who's confident in his game, a guy who knows that he can do his thing regardless of how much talent's around him. That's what I see when I look at Caden Shipp. When I look at his performance tonight, I see a guy who's confident, and I see a guy who's not scared.
And especially at the high school level too, that's even more impressive. It's now a 3-point game, and it's finally back down to a 1-point game here with that layup falling. 49-48. Beast closing in on their first lead in quite some time. Maybe even since the beginning of the game.
We put a lot of spotlight on the Bay Area Breakers, but let's not forget how good Beast of the East are. And they've done a great job of staying in this game when they can, and they're taking their chance to strike here. This is their chance, get a couple stops, maybe even take the lead, and that's what they've done all game. They're hitting their shots, they're staying in the game, they're fighting off the star power the Bay Area Breakers have, and they're going to give themselves a chance.
Absolutely. And there's a 3-pointer falls there from Xavier Pope, and I had a baseball coach say it to all the time. If you hang around long enough, good things will happen. And right now it seems like BCEs are on the cusp of having good things happen to them. If they can get the lead heading into the fourth quarter, that would give them a ton of momentum heading into it. There's 11 Cutler scoring again on the inside.
Like what you said, hanging around, that's a mindset. And that's the mindset of a good team, a team who never gives up, a team who never stops working. They're down as much as about 10 points at one point in this game, but they're going to stay in it. They're going to keep playing their game. They're not going to get crazy, start chucking shots. Royce Anderson's been kind of a monster inside, I'm not going to lie. He's hit a lot of really good shots inside. He's been really impressive. But that's the mindset of a good team. A team that doesn't stop working, a team that doesn't back down, a team that doesn't hang their head when they make a mistake. That's the kind of team the Beast of the East are. And that's what brought them their success so far.
Right, exactly. You don't get to the record that they are at for no reason. You have to have talent, but you also have to have the ability to, like you said, not give up and hang around in games. And that is really the hallmark of a talented team versus a team that's just kind of happy to be here sort of thing.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure they're happy to be here. Who's not? But they're not complacent. They're happy to be here, but they're not satisfied, and that's the difference. That's the difference. You can be happy to be here. Of course, that's not enough. Like you said, a team that's just happy to be there is a team that doesn't win. A team that doesn't get complacent is a team that wins. A team that's never satisfied.
Exactly. Neither of these teams strike me as teams that are ever satisfied with their lot in life, if you will. It's been a really fun game so far, Siege, and I'm happy to be on the call with you for this our first game together.
Oh, it's our first game together. I'm loving it, V-Ron. We rode here in a Toyota Corolla. I actually just got you a pair. I got you a gift actually for our first game. It's a pair of rugged Sharks from Walmart. Oh. They're really nice. People call them Croc knockoff. I wouldn't say so. I would say they're an alternative to the Croc. But I got you a nice pair.
Okay.
So you can throw them off this game. Oh my God. Levin Cutler is showing out this game against a very tough matchup in Trey Hyman. I'm incredibly impressed with Levin Cutler, what I've seen from him today, and what I've seen from him all season, really.
And not backing down from the challenge that is Trey Hyman. We know how much Hyman can be a problem for teams. And he's given them problems in this game for sure. He's given Beast problems for sure. But Levin Cutler on the other side, not backing down, holding his own, rising up to the challenge, doing his part to keep the Beast of the East in the game. They are down 3, 55-52. Under a minute to go here in the fourth quarter. And there's a great block. Going to stay with Beast of the East. 45.8 seconds to go here in the third. Inbound. Not good. Shanahan with the rebound, going the other way with it. Crowd's getting into it here, as they should be. It's a competitive game here once again. You'll love to see the energy come back into this place. Looked like it was going to be out of sorts for a bit, but they got back into it. Like we said, they hung around and managed to get back into the game.
Absolutely, and this is not one of those art galleries you got to be quiet in. The crowd gets crazy for that 11-color turnaround shot. He can do it all. Really impressive player. And to be honest, I think he's better than his ranking says he is. He's one of the better big men in the league. We got a lot of really great big men in the league. We don't have a lot who have the offensive talent 11-color has.
No, we don't. Butler is only ranked 30th in the league as the third quarter ends. Breakers up by 1, 55-54. Come back for the final quarter of action here in the shooting gallery in Richmond.
I've invited Pedro over.
Pedro, my man!
We need to talk about something.
Great. Let's talk.
What's new, Pedro?
Look, Tim, for the past 12 years, Pedro and I have been having an affair.
What? I did not see that coming. At all.
Pedro Jr., go to your room. Don't make that face. And take that ridiculous shirt off. Daddy loves you. Sorry, what were you talking about?
We are going to have a very entertaining fourth quarter on our hands, folks. Breakers up by 1 again, 55-54. East of the East will have possession to begin the fourth quarter of play in Siege. What do the Beasts need to do to get the win at home, and what do the Breakers need to do to put this one away?
Beasts of the East needs to play through Levin Cutler. He's been phenomenal tonight, shooting a high percentage. Anytime they can get him the ball, they need to. And that's a great little scramble there from Goodyear, son of the owner of Goodyear Tire Company. he knows how to play. He can score. He's been a big factor in this game right there with Levin Cutler. And that's the second thing they need to do, as we just saw there, as they grab that rebound. Torrin Trigg Jr. is they need to keep getting the rebound. They've been a lot better about it here in the second half. That's how they're going to beat this team. That's how they're going to keep this newfound lead, going through Levin Cutler, going through Kamarian Goodyear, and getting boards. And there he is.
There he is again. Levin Cutler once again extending the Beast lead, 58-55. And what about the break? What do they have to do to now come back and win the game here?
I mean, they've got to not get complacent. To be honest, we talked about getting complacent. I wouldn't say they got complacent. I think they got a little bit comfortable in that third quarter and let the Beast of the East come back. I don't think they kept their foot on the gas. They got to put their foot back on the gas, get this thing going again. Caden Shipp, keep running through Caden Shipp. They got to find their way back on the offensive boards, back on the boards in general, and they got to slow down Levin Cutler. I'm not sure how you do that. Trey Hyman should be able to do that, so we got to see a way to slow him down.
Yeah, now luckily for them, Cutler just went to the bench, so it's only Christopher Fuller out there taking his spot. So for now, he slowed down because he's not on the floor.
Well, and if that's the way you got to stop him, that's the way you got to stop him.
Yeah, get him off the floor. Sometimes that helps.
Tough!
That is a tough fadeaway from Torrin Trigg.
He popped that one like a soda can.
That was amazing. Beast have the lead 60-55. Breakers slowing the pace down here a little bit. Work the offense. Oh!
He's a bully!
Second chance buckets. Those are going to be important down the stretch, Siege, for the Breakers, I think, too.
Absolutely. Like we said, getting those boards at second chance point. Jimmy King is a bully. He plays like a king. I mean, a guy his height is not going to be able to stop him. He is too big. And wow, what is they're finding a lot of success inside, and against one of the best defensive players in our league, in Trey Hyman. I mean, if you can do that, you're gonna have some success.
Yeah, exactly. And they're finding multiple ways to get inside too. And on that one, it was just a simple screen. And it worked. That was a absolutely tough basket from Sean Hyman.
B-Ron, you see that podium up there?
Yeah, we getting up after the game.
I'm thinking I should get up there.
give him a speech, please.
Sean Hyman on both ends of the floor right now.
Absolutely. We'll take a quick break. Come right back.
I'm gonna go look at art.
I'm in that dasher with a vixen. You don't wanna see us blitzing. Underhanded pitching, hit him straight up in his mitten. Hope the Lord forgive him, man. His grandma been praying, been a bad boy since the Pistons. Wipe his nose, ain't no call. Tell his partners come get him. Stuffing yachters with the pigeons. When we talking outside lingo, ain't no talking over digits. Currents over karma, ain't no motherfucking sentence. Tell him black sent you, sir, your people not your feeling. Oh, man, that smoke was alright. Man, her ass was alright. Don't ask me if I'm alright. Pray this shit gon' go right. All my people alright. All my people alright. All my people alright. All my people alright. alright. Man, that smoke was alright. Man, her ass was alright. Don't ask me if I'm alright. Pray this shit gon' go right. All my people alright. All my people alright. All my people alright. All my people alright.
Welcome back to Richmond, everyone. We have a really great game on our hands. Great finish, potentially. Ahead, 62-59. Siege, you're having a good time over there. I love it. Love it.
This art gallery is popping. You don't have to be quiet here. Let's get it rocking.
Absolutely. Let's turn the energy up a little bit. We got 5 minutes left in this game. This is going to be a really fun one. Double watch for Sean Hyman, 9 points, 9 rebounds. So a free throw and a rebound will get him the double.
I mean, having a second Hyman brother who's on double watch is crazy. I mean, the first one's already so impressive. Trey Hyman is one of the best players in the league, and now you got his brother who's a dog and on constant watch to get boards and score tough baskets. I mean, talk about just adding another incredibly talented player to your roster. And speaking of talented players, Levin Cutler cuts through the D and gets the nice slam.
There he is. He wasn't on the bench for long, and he came back out and got active immediately. You know, Sean Hyman is only 16 years old, too, so he'll be returning next season. So he'll have a lot of time to learn from Trey and the other players here on the Breakers team that are also in the later stages of their similar hoops career. Breakers here trying to find a way to get themselves back in the rhythm here, as that will do a nice job of helping. It's a 3-point game again. Breakers are down 64-61. Look out of sorts here a little bit. Maybe they're on the ropes, so to speak, Siege.
I mean, it looks like they controlled this game for the first half. In the third quarter, the BC East turned it up a little. I think they made the right adjustments. Like I said, they needed to get on the boards. They got on those boards. And they found Levin Cutler, Kamari, and Goodyear have really turned up all game, but specifically the second half. They're giving them what they need, and they're finding a way to really nullify Trey Hyman, which is impressive given the performance he's coming off of last night. I mean, they're doing everything they should. Caden Shipp has not been as big of a factor here in the second half either. They identified the problem areas, and they're fixing them, and that speaks to how good of a team they are. I mean, that's not always easy for a young team to do, and every team in this league is young. They're all high school guys. So I mean, I'm impressed by the adjustments they make. I speak highly of adjustments. Adjustments are big in basketball, and they're doing it well.
Absolutely, and the adjustment piece also goes out to those coaches as well that are making those adjustments. And if you want to be a part of our Simroll Universe as a player or a coach, be sure to join the Discord. That's discord.gg/SimrollNBA. Come over there, get involved with all of the action over there in the Discord. Be involved in live streaming our game. Everything else that Simroll has to offer here. That's a great bucket there from who else but Levin Cutler. 61.
Look, Levin Cutler is looking great on both ends of the floor. I might compare him to a Brook Lopez type of guy. He doesn't quite have the 7-foot stature that Brook Lopez does yet, but I mean, he's very talented offensively. He's got the footwork, he's got the fader that Brook does, and defensively he can block shots. I mean, the guy looks like an absolute talent, like our guy Brook Lopez is. So, I'm super impressed by Levin Cutler. I would like to see him keep doing this all year, and I'm sure he will.
I like that comparison to Brook Lopez. We've reached 2-minute mark here in the game. We will in 2 seconds anyway. Here we are. 2 minutes warning. 66-61, beats of the East. They are looking to continue to roll here. Foul on Levin Cutler.
That's his second. Team's first.
That's his second. As Trey Hyman's going to go to the free throw line.
Trey Hyman for Bay Area at the line, shooting 2.
As a reminder, after this game will be the post-up. And then after the post-up, we'll have our second game of the night between Cascadia and the Heartland Zombie Stars. A bit of a preview for that one, Siege, perhaps?
Well, Heartland Zombies had a tough night last night. Game they're going to want to forget about. But the story for the Heartland Zombies, they've got some new guys who really looked impressive last night, such as Plachi Young, who came in off the bench and looked really good. Carter Fields, another new guy for that team, looked really good. And Heartland Zombies are a team they'll try anything right now to win. So I'm watching those new guys. I want to see them show out again, maybe make it a closer game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a treat to see those new players in action there for Heartland. There's a foul there on Sean Hyman.
At the line for your Beasts of the East.
So Beasts of the East will have a free throw attempt, 4 and 3. And these are big free throws. Here down the stretch here, every free throw at this point is huge, Siege.
Absolutely. Free throws are the key to the game. You know, back in high school, what our coach would do is he'd make us run sprints. You know, those old line sprints where you got to touch each line and come back.
Yeah,
those
suicides.
ones really tire. Yeah, suicides. That's the right word. But make us run those. Then someone's got to step up and hit 2 free throws in a row. And if you don't, you run them again. That way you train your team to hit free throws in moments like this when they're tired. That's when it's most important. The end of the game, when it comes down to free throws, those are free points. You got to be able to hit them when you're tired, when you're gassed, when you're exhausted. And so those are some good points there.
Absolutely. Both these teams' players gotta be exhausted, all the energy they've exerted throughout this game. And again, it looked like the Breakers were gonna run away with it at certain points. But the Beasts were able to rally, get themselves back together, and they've had the lead for a good while now, and they haven't let it go since.
Oh, Cutler!
Oh, denied. It's going the other way. Breakers with it now.
Big possession for them. They need a bucket.
Absolutely. Gotta have one here. We have reached the 1 minute mark in the game. And now I think you gotta get them fast because we're under a minute in the game. That's not gonna help at all.
Not at all. They're running out of time. This one's all but over. Let's see if Beasts of the East can put the dagger in them here.
Yeah, if they get a bucket here, like you said, more likely it'll be the dagger, and hopefully we won't see the intentional foul game come into play. I wouldn't think so anyway, if they score here, that is. It's still a 6-point game, so you could still see it happen, but okay.
Oh!
That one!
The dagger, Irish, spring, green.
Yes, the dagger from Farida Redmond, putting the cap on this one. The Beasts of the East, they've come out here and they've done it. They have done it, Siege. They have put the Breakers out of this game with a great comeback effort. As we hear the Happy If You Know It Clap Your Hands song coming on now over the speakers here. Beast fans certainly happy, got a lot to be happy about. Fans, players, parents, everybody involved. Congratulations to Beasts of the East for getting the win by 10, 71-61. Stay right here, post up coming up. And then after that, we'll be over to the Cascadia and Heartland Zombie Stars game. Me and Siege are going to take a flight on the Simroy Superjet. We'll see you over there. But again, post up coming up.
The Superjet's just a Toyota Corolla. Let's get in the car, B.
And she walked in and she was like, "Is that your Toyota Corolla?" And I went, "Of course it is." And she said, "Then let's go." And that was the first time Halle Berry treated me to a midnight stop at Whataburger, and we went oh, I'm sorry, on air. Oh, hey, welcome to the post up after a great game that we just heard, and we're gonna get a special guest here with us tonight after calling the game. This is Maestro, otherwise known as Maestro, joined by the one and only B. Ron, the nice guy. How you feeling tonight, fam?
Hey man, I'm doing all right. Great first game we saw, Maestro. Very happy to be here with you on the post up.
Absolutely, 100%. So, Battle of the Wands. And it was a battle of the wands. It was really good to see. I know what I'm thinking about. Tell us what you thinking about. You had a upfront, close and personal smell the deodorant and the leftover sulfide of the game. Bring us inside the bubble. Let us know what you saw tonight. Why you think the game went the way it did.
Look, man, it was first of all hats off to both teams. Both teams played extremely well, all throughout the game. It was what I expected it to be, a competitive game between two of the top teams in our league to begin the season here. And I
Hmm.
think for me, what really made the difference for me personally was the heart from the Beast of the East. They hung around in the game long enough to where a good thing happened. They got the lead. Once they got the lead, which is a good thing that happened, they got the lead. And from there, they never let it go, just like the Breakers did in the first half, but came back
Right.
around to bite them at the end.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know what, seeing that too, it was really good trying to see. I loved seeing the hustle and the heart in the game. Not all scores are the same. We're going to talk about something later on. Not all scores are the same. People might look at that score and went, oh, low scoring game or relatively low scoring game and say, oh, it didn't seem like it was competitive. Look, there was actually defense being played across the table. It was some really good work. I'm going to put in where I think the game got turned around for Bay Area. It was decisions. It was in the decisions in the last 5 minutes when On
Yeah.
3 possessions in a row, the guard brings the ball up and became a one-man, 4 corners, slow down offense, and not a single pass, dribble, 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 air out the ball, a mediocre move in the post, just bad decisions. Look, you know how the rule goes, right? As a guard, once you get into the flow of the play, like in the backcourt of the court, the whole deal is you cannot if as a guard, if you have the ball for more than 7 seconds, you're hurting your team.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're pulling everybody else out, and I saw that on 3 possessions in a row after seeing some incredibly well chosen, well run, well made decision. I'm sorry, well run plays, well made decisions. It was beautiful to see the flying Hymens tonight, man. Seeing the two brothers get it done. You know what? If they would have had any support from any of the usual characters, I think they would have taken the game by quite a bit. But they were kind of running the game by themselves. And you know what? I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm gonna tell you right now. We had not one, not two, but 3 dirty dirties in the game tonight. The
Love
Hymens,
it.
Trey
Love it,
Trey and
sir.
his brother locked down a double dirty dirty for me. I love it. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna have to put Trey Hyman's name on the dirty dirty office door and like permanent marker, man, because he's just making it work every night. And now his brother's coming in doing it too.
Yeah.
It was really good to see that, and also on the other side of the floor, Cutler comes in and knocks out a dirty a box score line too. So it lets you know how good these kids was working. You tell me, B-Ron, tell me about what you saw with the chemistry firsthand between the Flying Hammonds.
So, man, I am extremely impressed by those two. Sean Hyman coming in just a few days ago, only in his second game with the team, having the ability to mesh well with his brother and the team so quickly. Say what you want, but that's impressive no matter how you slice it. And I think that, like you said, Maestro, the usual guys did not play like we expected them to. But to be fair, and those usual guys, Xavier Pope, he had 8 points and 3 rebounds. Also, we didn't see a lot from, Curtis London
Right.
or even Trey Hyman. Sure, he had 11 rebounds, but he didn't do enough scoring. But to be fair, when Caden Ship has 16 of your points, he's also one of the kids who can get a lot of the scoring done too. So they did their parts in various different ways. Unfortunately, they needed more. They needed
Right.
more from Trey Hyman. They needed more from Xavier Pope. They needed more from Curtis London, who played 9 minutes and didn't do anything stat wise. He put up
Right.
nothing, contributed nothing in the game. So when you're lacking in those areas too, it also doesn't help you at all. So you need, like you said, you needed more of your players to do more things for you. Maybe even if, Caden and Royce are combined for, let's say, let's say, 25 points between the two of them or whatever. Maybe it's a different game, but it
Right.
wasn't.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really great point. I'm gonna ask you something real quick, by the way. Oh, I was looking forward to you and Siege getting up on the getting up I was really looking forward to you 2 getting up on the stage that was on the
On the
far side
podium
of
there,
the,
yeah.
and really reenacting that last scene from Romeo and Juliet. I was kinda looking forward to that. But, maybe next time we'll see what's going on. I'll say this about something, it's no secret how much I enjoy Trey Hyman's game especially, and now seeing him work with his brother who and again, when it hit me like cold water on a sleeping dog when you said he's only been with the team a couple of days. And the way he mixed into the flow, the way he seemed to work and be unselfish, like his brother, not
Mhm.
surprised,
Yep, yep.
but still a strong impact game. I say this, and it's been no secret. Trey Hyman is basically averaging a dirty box line, every game, right? So I did not realize. I'm gonna say this with a little amount of self pride. I know that's not cool. I did
Oh,
not
no, I was
realize
here.
how unselfish he was until I saw him play tonight. Like, you know what? I think he purposely tried to make a way to get his teammates into the game as he did all of the dirty hard hat stuff. And I'm with you on the fact that maybe if he had stepped into the scoring game a little bit more instead of trying to force his teammates kind of into it, or I'm force is such a bad word. Give them more opportunities and maybe they
Right.
earn tonight.
Yeah.
I think the game would have been different. And it's obvious. It's obvious. I'm saying obvious in a good way that he has the game. That
Yes.
if he that if at any part of his game he could decide, you know what, I need to score now. I'm going to score. I need to be a defensive stopper, and I'm going to be a defensive stopper. I only saw, and I actually only saw, which was kind of things I look for, and you and I've talked about this before. I only saw like 3 or 4 possessions where he either lost control of his man or lost leverage on his man on the defensive side. But one of them, I'm going to kind of put an asterisk by. He got screened out by his own teammate.
Yeah, he did.
You
He
know, I
did.
was like, "Oh,
I know what you're
dude,
talking
you got
about. Yep.
you gotta see your man coming and get out of his way," because Trey was so focused, as you should be, trying to keep that off-hip leverage on his player. There's no way he was gonna see his same jersey standing right in his attack lane, and he basically got boxed out of play by his own guy. And now I'm saying that it was also a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant move to the basket that made that happen. You got to see that. Oh, wait a minute, his teammate's not gonna move. Then guess what? Look. I got an extra guy to to help me run off. So I'm
Right.
gonna make that
Exactly.
happen.
Yeah.
But ultimately though, it was a strong game. That was and you guys did a great job calling it.
Thank
As
you. Thank
always,
you.
you get a chance to hear B-Ron and Siege calling games. You're gonna get a lot of insights. You're gonna get a lot of stuff about used automobiles that aren't big enough for normal people to ride in. But also, we want to give you guys more of an opportunity to come in and hook up with us and have some fun with us. See the game, be the game, right? So go to
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Discord, discord.gg/SimWorldNBA. You know what? If you got the brain, come on, be a coach. If you got the game, come on and be a player. We get you hooked up, we get you set up. We got the best production team in the entire Milky Way right up in here to make it right. As you see that these cats pull this stuff off every single night. So big shout out to them. And you can also hear more of these amazing brains talk about the game with Blazing Takes in his podcast. Also, another podcast we have, the Marsh Pod by Marsh Mr. Media. And my favorite, my absolute favorite podcast, the one that just earned another Golden Stapler Award, Around the Table with Lava, Champagne Voice, and the Fat Man, my fun size boo. Check out those podcasts. Keep those receipts on us. We always have a take for you. We always want to know what you're thinking about and what you want to hear. Give us something to talk about. Give us something to write about. Hey, if you think we're talking about somebody too much, you can tell us. Let us know what's going on. If you think we're not talking about somebody enough, you can tell us. Let us know what's going on, because you know what? We are your eyes and ears. And I say this all the time, B-Ron. The great thing about watching these kids learn the game and watching these kids grow is we get to root for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
We get to root for
That,
everybody.
that brings up a real interesting thing. I'm glad you said that, Maestro, because I feel like I get a lot of unnecessary flack for liking everybody, but like it's true. It's true. I do like everybody. If you give me a reason to not like you, and I won't, sure, but
Right.
I like everybody, and especially at this age, these are 16, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. They're all
Mm-hmm.
kids, and we want to do our best to give these kids a platform to showcase their skills, and we
Absolutely.
get to watch them grow in the process. So of course they're gonna like everybody. You could be the last guy on the bench and I'm still like you. I'll find something to like about you. So,
You look, yeah.
that's good. Go ahead, Maestro.
No, no, 100%. I didn't
Little
mean to step
rant
on you. I
there.
apologize for that. You know what?
No,
You
it's
know
fine.
me. I'm always trying to write an article about somebody who's coming off the bench. I'm always trying to talk about somebody who wasn't the sixth, seventh, or even eighth man off the bench. I'm always looking for that guy, because everybody deserves some time. If you are, listen, it all starts here. And I say this as a player, who just remembered. I remember one coach straightened us all out. He said, if you are in this uniform, if you are in this locker room, we have decided you're supposed to be here. So let's just flush that part and that doubt down the toilet. I'll never forget this.
Right.
Let's
No one's
flush
here
that
by
down the
accident.
toilet. You're supposed to be here. So now be here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't complain about what you are or are not doing. You're supposed to be here. Now trust us to lead you to be in the best position, do what you have to. And I'll never, ever, ever forget that talk because it was like, you know what? Yeah, because I was one of those guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. As many sports as I played, I was always thinking like, you know what? I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, you
Right.
know. But hearing Coach say that just completely out of the blue, I don't know what had transpired. I mean, it was better, certainly better than Sister Teresa, who in our little league baseball team was running numbers,
I've heard
for
about her.
yeah, a bunch of 5, 6, and 7 years old, bucking up 100 and 120 on a game, and owing money to the mob, but that's a different thing, you know. All those speeches were different, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I tell you, man. So these kids are here, and I'm calling them kids not out of disrespect, but just out of who they are, where they are, and what they're doing
Fact of the
right
matter,
now.
yeah. These are
And
facts.
and you know what? We want to see every single one of them succeed. And I'm going to tell you something. I appreciate that about you. The same thing I told Big Bob the other night. I appreciate the fact that he always reminds us because I'm going to let everybody behind the curtain who's checking out the post up here with Maestro and B-Ron. Sometimes we get into these conversations, and Big Bob is always the one to bring say, "Hey, remember now, these are high school kids. He's
Right.
always good to bring us back to that reality to remind us of our role as we're all part of this beautiful ecosystem here in SimWorld Hoops. You know, see the game, be the game, baby. And we all work together, the media, along with the broadcast, along with the talent, along with the coachings, along with the fans. We're all one thing that we're making happen here, and it's a beautiful thing. That's a great there's another game going on here between Reigning Trays and Lakeshore, and they are moving up and down the court. Can't wait to talk about that score a little bit later in this post up. So, yep, I got you. Okay, give me that one more time. All right, we could come right back to the post up. We're gonna take a break. We'll see you on the other side. So then, like, when we got in my Toyota Corolla, I'm a little taller than she is. And then what? Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa, whoa, no, that was gonna go somewhere bad. Hey,
Yeah,
welcome
that's
back
for
to
off
the
air.
next segment of the post up. Yeah,
I want to hear the rest
hey,
of that story though. Second this ends.
I tell you, I tell you what. So does Halle Berry as soon as she, takes up that, restraining order. It's
Oh,
gonna be
I'm
great.
sure.
So,
I'm very confident.
I am the magic of Simro Hoops. I'm now joined by. I want to thank B-Ron for stepping in with us here and talking the first part of the post up with us tonight. We are now joined by Elava, the voice, or I call him my champagne man because that's what he gets done. Because
Champagne.
because he's expensive. He is. I'm gonna stop right there because I think the feds
No,
might be listening.
no,
But
I can take compliments and good words
you can
associated with
take
my name.
there
I'm
you
good.
go. It's like it's expensive and tasty, but there you go.
There you go. Hey, that's all right.
Hey
I
now.
like
So
the champagne reference. You know what? Every time I hear it, every time I hear you call me that maestro, I first of all I think of Evelyn Champagne King, First Lady of
ooh,
Disco. First Lady of
ooh,
Disco. Yep.
ooh,
I'm in
the
love as
first
a
album cover I
particular.
just stared at.
Ooh. Evelyn's still around, by the way. She had like a
Yeah,
health scare a few years
yeah,
ago. I remember
ooh,
reading about,
I,
but she's still
I,
around.
she's still around getting it done, man. I
Yep.
know. Well,
And the
that's
second
nice.
thing second thing I'll tell you quickly is when you talk about champagne, the friend I had, he used to be a friend. I haven't seen him 30 years probably, but with the most fantastic name I've ever had personally in my life was somebody named Teddy Champagne. And the
Oh,
great thing about Teddy is not only did he have that amazing name, Teddy Champagne, His parents were the coolest people ever. They were like these New York City jazz musicians back in the 60s and 50s, their heyday. And Teddy looked like a slightly less handsome version of Billy D. Williams. I mean, Teddy had it all. And you know what he did? He rebelled against everything and he became a database programmer. And that's a true story.
Well, you know what? Aren't we all just a little? I mean, aren't we all technically a little less handsome version than you know?
Well, I'm
You
a
know,
lot
Billy D.
less. I'm a lot less than Billy D.
Well, look. At least
I
you're
met
less.
him once. So that's a story for another time. That's a story for another time.
At least you're less. I'm not even in the book. So, but yeah, but so talking about that game tonight. Moving in. Let's you're always on point. Your great podcast. Around the
thank
table.
you. Appreciate you being a fan.
100%. Along with my fun size boo. It is something that I'm okay. I'm gonna use this word, and I hope you understand what I mean when I say this. And hopefully, our post up listeners, we thank you for staying with us, hanging with us tonight.
Oh yeah.
As we give you an extended post up, get into our next game. We're going to be Cascadia and Heartland. It's going to be interesting. But one thing I love about your podcast, one thing I learned about the way you guys view the game, I'm gonna use the word balance. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't get too high, you don't get too low. Nothing is ever extreme. It's always and it's always from both sides. Okay, from the struggling side, from the team who is being viewed as being a struggling team, and also from their point of view of what we're having to deal with. So let's talk about. I'm gonna turn math teacher on you for a minute here.
Ooh. Okay.
The inequality sign. Now,
the inequality sign.
Inequality sign.
Yeah. I think I know it. Can I guess?
You can guess.
Is it not the equal sign, but then with a diagonal line drawn through it to show that it is not equal?
That is very good. That's almost top marks. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you a little dirty secret. That is one. That is one of the 5 inequality signs.
There are 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have the equal sign with the line through it. Yes, very good. You also have the greater than sign with a line under it. You have the less than sign with the line under it. So greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. You also have greater than or equal to without the line underneath it. And last but not least, the one that everybody always forgets, including my math professor, that I reminded her about in one of my papers, the equal sign is also an inequality sign.
And kids, I just want to interject real quickly. Never be afraid to correct your professors. They love it and will appreciate you for it. So just remember that. That's a tip from Elava and Maestro right there.
100%. And then when they let you back into the class and don't kick you out of the program, you're going to really appreciate what it took to be there.
In the high school I went to, they might have tanned your hide in between, but
exactly, right?
Different time, different day.
So here's what I mean when I say that. Is 3 plus 2 truly equal to 5? And I do not mean numerically. I mean in actuality. Of course it's not. 3 plus 2 represents one thing. 5 represents something else. That equal sign can be flipped either way. That lets you know that one can represent the other, but it does not mean that it is the other. And that's why the equal sign is an inequality sign. So before we put everybody to sleep with a math lecture tonight, I want to ask you, not all records are the same. 4 and 4 for one team is not 4 and 4 for another team.
I agree.
All right.
I agree with that statement.
So let's talk about this. 4 and 4 teams. Europe. Well, Asia Pacific is now 4 and 5. They're no longer 4 and 4.
Yeah.
But
they count them in the mix there. They were 4 and 4.
Okay. So do you view those records as being equal?
No, I don't think you do you? I don't think you do, because I think you got to look at 2 things. I think you got to first look at opponents and see who they've played and quality of opponent.
Right.
And, home away splits matter a little bit too. I've actually noticed this season, I know there hasn't necessarily been, maybe somebody could dive deeper and point to a case where this team hasn't lost at home or this team never wins on the road. But I think that does play a little bit of a factor. But then the other thing I wanted to mention was just passing the eye test, right? I mean,
there you go.
Asia Pacific particularly kind of comes to mind for me, because I think that there have been games where they haven't necessarily come away with a victory this year, yet they've looked pretty good.
The There you go. And see, that's what I love about this broadcast team. Oh my goodness, it's like the family I never wanted, and when I got adopted, I ran away. That's exactly what I was going for with that. Because just
Yeah.
because you might have the same record, how you got that record is different. And all those metadata points that I'm going professor mode. All those
Hmm.
metadata points that Elava brought up, all in at one place. How did you
Hey,
play to get that record? The eye test is the ultimate of
you know,
letting you know.
here's a great example of it. Asia Pacific, as you said there, they fell to 4-5 tonight. Oh, they lost. They're bums, right? They're terrible.
Mhm.
They got beat by 8. You know what? They
Exactly.
got beat 91-83 by a Queen City Kings team that
Mhm.
that that for I would say I was going to say for the first time this season, but that's not fair. They've been playing better of late, but they started
Yes.
off poor, so they kind of
Yes.
got forgotten about. But tonight they did. Norvell DeJohn Jones came into the season with his name pretty much as big as anybody. Haven't been talking about him because he hadn't done that much. Well, double tonight, 18 points, 10 assists.
Mhm.
Pretty nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, Asia Pacific didn't play poorly. Played a really good game. Had 4 players in double digits. Kai Newby, who is a really skilled player, 21, just came up a little bit short, really, in the second half, fourth quarter. I just couldn't quite get there. But no, look, they're one of the teams. Another team like that I've been talking up as better than their record is
Mhm.
the Stripes. I was so
Mhm.
happy. I was so happy. Well, I wasn't so happy because I'd be mean to Philadelphia, but they tore Philadelphia apart last
Yes,
night,
they did. Yes,
102
they
to
did.
64. I got to
Yes, they
call that.
did.
That was something. And I didn't feel good because the elite were getting beat down like that. I got nothing against Coach Drees, but Indy Stripes, I've been talking them up. They're better than their record. I like that. Benari James, Novajovic backcourt, and now they got Bakari James. Went
There
9
you
from
go.
9 from deep the other night. Was just
There
ridiculous.
there you go.
And they got some good interior players too. Towns Romanowski is a banger that people don't really know about. I don't think Jay Luce can shoot. It's talking about around the table too. And
Yeah.
me and Bob got into this. Big Bob, your special boo.
Yeah.
Because I threw Indy into my, 4 teams that I could see being around at the end of the year, at the end of the race for
Mhm.
one, because I really can. I think they got that kind of talent. Just haven't shown it. Look, some of these teams need a minute to gel too, right?
There you go.
So,
There you go.
yeah, yeah.
Kids are
Awesome.
learning the game. Kids learn the
Hmm.
game. They're learning to work in the they're learning to work in the Beyond the Arc just came up on top over the originators, I believe. I'm gonna double check that score. I shouldn't have said it that way without double checking myself here. Um,
Oh, I'll see if
but
I can get that while you're
yeah,
going.
see if
Hold
you can get
on.
that while we're going on this. So, and that's one thing that
Live
I'm
info
talking
for the
about.
people.
Yeah, so here we have a case where we have these teams with these floating records, and I'm going to throw another 500 team in there, even though I don't think they're going to be 500 for long after tonight. Is Cascadia at 5-5? I've been riding that. I've been riding that ticket for a minute. That I think that just like with Asia Pacific, I saw Cascadia as a team. The record wasn't matching what I was seeing happening on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's another case where I say that. So, okay, now let's go on and shift down gears for a minute. And I don't mean that in a
Hmm.
negative way, like the time Halle Berry told me that I missed the exit. And because I was actually going to Khloe Kardashian's house, but I forgot,
Yeah,
that's another
well,
story.
easy
Uh,
mistake to make.
yeah, yeah, all the time. Um, so let's talk about these 3-win teams. Gulf
Okay.
Coast, Gulf
Mm,
Coast,
yeah.
Antillians, Latin
Yeah.
America, Beyond the Arc. Now I know we just talked about Beyond the Arc just now. So,
Yeah.
okay, are those 3-win teams? Is it Tell me about that inequality sign in the middle because we know that they are not getting there the same way.
No, they're not. BTA, I know you got Tyson Simpson there. I'm not saying that it's a bad team, but I haven't seen it from day one.
Mhm.
I've kind of been down on them. And so far, and including tonight, beaten by more than 20 points by originators. Not quite getting it done. Latin America, I actually think has a little bit more potential,
Mhm.
possibility. Definitely love Edgar Fernandez, which again is like not to say there aren't players beyond Tyson Simpson even that I don't really like. on BTA and what they got going up there in St. Louis. But yeah, again, just kind of differently built out of those teams. Those are the two that really jump out at me. Is like, yeah, I just feel like from the eye test as much as anything else. Just haven't seen it from beyond the arch, anything really to kind of give me a lot of confidence that they're going to be a contender this year. Whereas for Latin America, much the same as South America, and South America has fallen tonight as well.
Right.
Lone Star taking them out, but well, hey, both these teams, Beyond the Arch and South America, beaten by good teams tonight. Originators, Lone Star, but South America, much more impressive record, probably the better team. But I think Latin America's right there punching with them. I think south of the border, they got something going on with these kids right now.
Agreed. Of those teams, I tell you the one that I'm gonna talk about the other two teams in the three-win category, that we just talked about here. Gulf Coast, I think, is much stronger than their record says, just across the board with talent. Just a matter of them being able to get some support for De'Aaron Cruz and what they're trying to do. I think once that team starts to gel, I think pretty soon they're going to be like, as a matter of fact, they're one of the teams that I picked to kind of crawl up the middle here and be in the race for one. And I'm going to say something, even though the Atilians were kind of handed to them the other night, right?
Yeah.
Their athleticism, okay, for a team that's maxing out with two players at 6'8", there might be one at 6'9". Their athleticism, their ability to put on the press and make it count, and also be able to manage throughout the game, even as undersized as they were, to use their quickness, to use their flexibility. I mean, okay, the one thing that I would say that they're doing extremely well is running a positionless offense. And for those who don't know what I mean when I say that, there is no true point guard. There is no true off guard. There is no true small forward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty much position, play, spacing, and move forward. And even though they lost the way they did the other night, I saw that in their game. I mean, quite frankly, just to be honest about it, without just not looking at the spread of the score, just looking at the play on the floor. Wow, I made that rhyme. That was really cool.
You did.
I believe,
Start that together.
Please, producer, whoever, back there,
That's right. Capture this flow.
Please,
Come on.
please, yeah, exactly, baby. I'm feeling good. I am number one. Okay, I'm sorry. But that reality, right? Of if I were just to look at the game, because that's how I would even scout back when I coached. I would look at the game without the score.
Yeah.
What am I seeing on the floor? Who's doing what? How is the spacing? How is the weak side? What's going on? I don't want to see the score, because that's when I go back and watch the game for the third or fourth time when I was scouting the team. That's when I was like, okay, so when they're up, they do this. When they're down, they do this. When they're this, they do that. All the tendencies. That's when I start looking at the tendencies. But at this point, I've memorized the game to the point where I'm not even using my notebook anymore. I know what's going down. And I got a really good my very first assistant coach. And by the way, talk about a cool name. His first name was Flo.
Oh, that is good. Yep.
FLO. He was from the islands. He was and by the way, talk about earning your name. He was his name. He was smooth. He was smooth as church gravy right out the oven. So just so nice. But he used to, I would have him lead our film study, and he used to watch NBA games. And he had okay, our people, our family's too young to know this. There were these things called VHS tapes and 8mm films that we used to use back in the day. And it was like, it could tick, 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 anyway, just Google it. You'll see what's going on. I think I just broke Google for VHS. He would not even have to look at the game. I see him talking to the team. His back is to the screen, and he's dictating every play. Who's on leverage? Who's on this? from memory, not just one game, but dozens and dozens and dozens of games. And I don't mean like the sixth game or like in game 6 of the finals. I'm talking about game 14 on a Tuesday night in San Antonio or whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
this guy, his ability to recall games and plays and when timeouts and who got fouled and what was going on, it was amazing. So it was, that's the kind of thing that you look at that when I saw that game the other night, that's what I saw. That's what made me think, wow, these guys really got something going on. So I got to give them credit. And real quick before we move on to our last topic, just one more thing here. Uh, uh, for our 7-win teams, everybody who's leading the thing, I think we have an idea. Beasts of the East holding up at 9 with 9
Yeah.
wins now. Lone Star doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
H-Town, Blaze, I'm sorry, I'm not quite feeling it. And the Originators, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and then I'm not going to say nothing else. So, all right. Okay, we got a commercial coming up. We'll catch you right back on the other side with the post-up, E-Lava and Maestro. And welcome back to our extended post-up. E-Lava, the voice, Champagne. I'm just Maestro, peanut butter. You get a live look in right now with
you can't just be just Maestro. Like, you can't just say it like that. Just being Maestro means so much. It contains multitudes. But yeah, how exciting is this? We're getting a live look in here from Chicago.
A lovely live look in, baby.
Lovely live look in. Let's get alliteration going.
I know.
16-point lead right now for Lakeshore. I was keeping track on this a little bit earlier, and Lakeshore took control of this game. They built out a 17-7 lead, I think, at one point early.
Yeah.
They've just we've seen this. Actually, before we went to break, we were talking about haven't seen like a huge home road splits in SimWorld this year. But you know what? Come to think of it, just this week, I feel like home teams have really kind of dominated. The games I called last night, the home teams did well.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing it again here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beasts of the East, of course. Getting a win, too. So
home cooking starting to kick in. Home cooking is starting to kick in. And, the idea of, you always hear coaches say this, they want role players who can travel. The starters are the starters for what they are, and I say that with sort of like a little wink here, because I played under a coach who actually, being a starter didn't matter to him. He would actually start the second team in a game, have them go out there and hockey full court press the other team, and then sick us as the starters out on them to start running and gunning. And hey, look, undefeated season in the ring later, that's what it is. But
Mhm.
you know, I'll never forget the very first day he said, "Listen, if I hear somebody say anything about not starting, you can walk out that door right now. I have a
Yep.
plan. We're going to stick with my plan. And I promise you, at the end of this season, if you're not holding up a trophy, it's all on me. And you can tell everybody if you want to, but I want you to keep your mouth closed and do what I ask you to do." We did that. And sure enough, man, we hold up a trophy at the end of the season.
Well, maybe Lakeshore is going to have something to hold up at the end of this, and just saw Angelo Roman
Mm-hmm.
outside sniper bury a three, and there you see reigning Trace can't get it going. Well, we got Cascadia coming up in the second half of the SimWorld TV doubleheader tonight.
Yes,
The
Cascadia and Heartland.
other Pacific Northwest team, maybe they'll fare a little bit better. I watched Heartland when I called them last night.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking very good. They're trying to integrate some new pieces there.
Yes.
Herbie
Yes.
Ordway,
Yes.
Carter Fields.
Yeah. It's hard to do with
Uh,
young players. It's hard to do with young players.
yeah, and on
You
doing
know,
it on the fly too in the middle of the season.
exactly.
That's
So
never easy.
in the middle of the season, young players who don't even who don't even know their game yet, a team who doesn't have an identity yet. There's just a lot of variables there. So,
Yep.
talking about variables, now
Mhm.
the script is about
Oh
to be
yeah.
flipped
Oh
on
yeah.
Maestro here.
Mhm.
So the third topic is
Mhm.
usually something I try to come up with to make my partners think
Mhm.
about it a little bit,
Mhm.
Sansan. But
Mhm.
tonight, Champagne he wants to flip the script or script the flip on me. So Elava, Champagne, the
E
voice.
Champagne Lava, maybe. Hey, it
Yeah,
worked for
I'm
Evelyn
loving it.
King.
Oh, I'm
It
loving
worked
it.
for
That's gonna be
Evelyn King.
that's my next tattoo right there. So come on, get into it.
So,
What you got?
so
What you got?
well, I think what I wanted to do, partly for me, but also partly for the people that they're listening, is to unravel a little bit the mysteries of the Maestro,
Mhm.
because you listen to the post up, and just little tidbits come out like, I did this, I did that, undefeated championship we just learned about tonight. We know about the whole, being a pilot, but how did that happen? Let's just peel back a little bit of the onion layer and get into some good Maestro details. So the first thing I want to know about is, yeah, to me, you're the pilot. How did that happen? How did you get into aviation, and what kind of machines have you piloted? What's the biggest, baddest thing that you've ever brought down safely out of the sky?
I'm glad you said brought down safely.
Oh yeah, I'm
So,
caveating it that way. That's
all
right.
right. So thank you. So here's
You
the
were an
thing.
F4 Phantom once. If you brought it in the sea, that's that don't
So
count.
it's a great question, Eli. So here we go. Growing up, of the three things I wanted to be, astronaut was number one on the list.
That is a good
So
one.
that was one of the reasons that, I looked at the Navy even at the age of like 6. Well, that and Roger Staubach, that I looked at the Naval Academy
Ooh.
at the age of 6. And, so I wanted to be an astronaut. Like I said, there was two other things I wanted to be, and they are very, very, very different than being an astronaut. I'm going to say that right now. So, astronauts have to fly, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was lucky enough, I was blessed enough to be in a family that basically said, look, we don't care what you do. We don't care what you decide to do. Just whatever you do your best. Don't come and compare yourself to anyone else. Don't come and try to be like anyone else. You be your best every day, 100%, and try to get better. And you will have our support. And they did that my up until this day now to my whole entire life, right? So
Mhm.
I got a chance to take some early flight lessons coming up right before high school, and then as I move
So
forward,
so
and
when
I
you're
can
saying flight lessons, you're
yeah,
you're in like a small
I'm in
like
a
a
little
small private
small
plane, like a
li
Cessna,
yeah, a
if
little
people know
small
what that
Cessna,
is.
a little small
Okay.
Cessna, learning how to work the radio, learning how to get up and down, and then but I was not able to get my license, okay? So I'm
Okay.
gonna kinda squeeze 2 things in here real quick. So what happens is I get a chance to move up in the world. I get a chance to do some other things. I'm saying that it was only a few years later. I get a
Mhm.
chance to fly for I'm gonna say the military with sarcastic quotes around it, and fly for other agencies that I work for, but it was always planes. But then I found my love, and I found my love in a situation of we had to run an operation where we had to go get somebody, and there was no helicopter pilot available, and I'd never flown a
Mhm.
helicopter before. So
Mhm.
the biggest, baddest thing I've ever flown was a Huey,
Yeah, okay.
Narnia by myself. We were able to land. It was successful. We all walked away from it. But after that day, It was helicopters or nothing else for me, and I haven't flown a fixed wing plane since. It's always been helicopter, but so that's how I became a pilot. It's always about the
Now,
helicopters for me.
here's something that
Mhm.
I don't know that probably nobody else knows unless they're a pilot as well. I mean, you talk about like, yeah, and we had to get on the helicopter, and nobody else knew how to flew it, so I just did it. I mean, is that something like? I mean, does
Incredibly,
piloting a fixed wing aircraft prepare you for piloting a helicopter?
as was said in my court martial, it was one of the dumbest things that anyone has ever done under command of my ADSO at the time. And I realized how dumb it was when I was trying to land. I really did. But it was just I was so focused on my team, getting these guys back, you
Yeah.
know, uh I was I'm gonna say this something. I don't panic for myself. I panic when I feel like I'm letting somebody else down. And I was
Yeah.
in panic mode thinking about I gotta get these guys. I gotta do it. They don't know me from Adam, but I gotta do it. I put that pressure on myself unfairly, and it was by far the dumbest thing, one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. And as I learned how to fly a helicopter,
You got it.
more
You
and more I
got it
realized
done.
how stupid it was.
Yeah, like you actually had like a 20% chance of like,
Oh,
having
20,
something go real wrong.
brother, you better break that down into some fractions.
Oh man. All right. Well, that interesting. So yeah, I mean, that's yeah, like you said, credit to your family for just being like, okay, go for it.
Yep.
Chase that. I don't know. I remember my mom not being too keen on a motorcycle. I'm not sure if a plane would have necessarily made a difference either. So then doing that just as a job, is that like for local news and radio or emergency services, life flight, or do you just kind of like you just kind of on call, you come and somebody needs you, okay,
Well,
meet what I'm asking price and let's go.
well, I'll tell you what, I'll share this with you. I still do not fly commercially. I'm still with the Department of Homeland Security, I can say that.
Mhm.
Also with a couple other agencies, I train other special op pilots and stuff like that now too. Um, but and I still get a chance to do it. That's why, like sometimes in our meetings, that you hear me like you can actually hear all the noise in the background because I'm actually on the flight deck. Um,
Yeah,
but most
that
of
happens. That's right. I've been on those calls.
yeah, most of the time you hear me or see me like is I fly to Coast Guard stations because that's my primary action arm
Mhm.
with the
Mhm.
Coast Guard, search and rescue and other operations and stuff like that. Also with Homeland and a couple other agencies. So it's kind of like I've been pulling myself out of that a little bit more. I want to move more into sort of the training mode and kind of fly for myself.
Okay.
So one day I might do the on call thing. I don't think I would make a good tour tour helicopter pilot because
Okay.
first of all, the most important thing about flying a helicopter is how much stuff weighs. And if I and, I,
Yeah.
and if I see Big Jethro trying to get on my helicopter,
I was like, no, I'm
I might
not.
say, you know
Yeah.
what, it's broke today. I'm not gonna make no money. But no, I'm being nasty. But yeah, but no, I'm really lucky, man. I get a chance to spin my wheels in a lot of different circles. And I'm gonna jump the gun on another question for you.
Uh-huh.
I've worked
Uh-huh.
professionally as a musician. I've actually toured playing bass with Patti LaBelle, Shaka Khan, and a few other people. Um, I've had a very diverse life,
A few other
and
people on the Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle
yeah.
level, because if they are, I want to hear names.
Okay. All right. So, all right, I guess here we go. So if you look at the Black Cat video that where Janet and Michael are together, I'm the bass player in the middle. I wasn't a bass player on tour. I was a backup bass player, but I got into the video because they were filming the rehearsal that they flew me in for. So that's how I ended up in the video for that one.
I'm
Um,
100% YouTubing that. All right,
uh, also,
100%.
I'm not ashamed to say,
Uh-huh.
when you look at the Wembley concert for the
Yeah.
Spice Girls, I'm the bass player
Oh,
sitting right behind Scary Spice. Well, not
oh,
sitting
that is
behind it,
awesome.
the band is in the floorboard, the band is in the back
Yeah.
in the floor. Because I'm 6'6", my head is popping up, so I look like the headless. I look like the headless horseman's head because the body's not there. You see my head in dreads, so you see that there. But yeah, again, been really lucky. Right place, right time. Sometimes wrong place, right time. And yeah, well, yeah, that's another story about standing behind Scary Spice. There's a reason. Never mind. There's kids watching, so we're gonna leave that alone. But and so I've played on a few records. with different artists, and actually, I released my own record back before everybody here was born, back in 1995. It
Mm,
was,
I got that beat
uh
by a few, but we'll leave that aside for the moment.
which was actually, it went from being one of the greatest moments of my life that I didn't wanna do to one of the worst moments of my life that I was sorry I did. So, uh
Why? No.
well, well, I've written music for a long time. I've actually gotten songs on other people's records and stuff like that. And finally, a guy approached me about doing my own record. And I went,
Mhm.
okay, yes, sure, why not? It's something different from what I normally write. Normally I
Yeah.
write more pop, R&B, even country, western stuff, even like a couple of soundtrack things that are more classical. My own
Mhm.
personal music kind of moves into what was back then called smooth jazz, if you want to
I
call it
love
that.
smooth jazz. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so, so so what happens is I end up getting a chance to, like, I finally narrowed down my catalog down to 10 tunes, and a lot of my great partners and a lot of friends, a lot of great musicians I work with played on the record with me, and then it turned into a lawsuit between me and the record label, a lawsuit between me and the producer, and then when the record finally got mixed and released, um I was moving in between labels. I mean, it just became, the music got taken out of it. It became the business thing. And that's what I mean when I
Yeah,
say it
I
was
get it.
like, I ended up not getting any joy out of the process. Now, I realized it wasn't about me. That was me being selfish at the time. A lot of people did like that record. We didn't really move a lot of product. I think we sold maybe a little less than 100,000 copies or something like that. And
Okay.
but at a time when everybody were measuring jazz records in the sales of multiple millions, I wasn't even a drop,
Mhm.
but
I
the
get
thing
it.
was, the great thing about that album, I'm gonna say this, that I mean this from my heart, doing something you love, being able to tour with that record, um, do a lot of different TV shows and radio shows, which I have. Look, for all the stuff I have receipts for, by the way. So you got pictures and videos that coming. Being able to tour and stuff like that with that record, I got a chance to see a lot of the world as a leader of a group. I had a 15-piece band with a string section.
That's
I
awesome.
had I
That's
had
awesome.
it was just really wonderful, and I was in a position where I could afford to bring even the musicians' families out with me. So,
Mhm.
that was one of the few, that year and a half, man, was just a bright
Yeah,
break from heaven, man. I tell you, it
yeah.
really was.
That is a fantastic experience to have. Hey, it's been all about you this segment, but I'll quickly interject for me just because it's funny and it's true. First of all, well, this part isn't so funny. No, I am legit a smooth jazz devotee. I'll put on some Chuck Mangione, George Benson, Grover Washington Jr.
There
I can
you
think of
go.
a few others. That's right. Just nice, mellow out to it. And actually, there's some stuff that kind of evolved out of that in the '90s, even I could get into, but that's too esoteric. I won't go there. But the other
Mhm.
thing, the funny part, and this is legitimately true, once it only lasted a couple weeks and it didn't take at all. But I tried to give myself the nickname Smooth Jazz because I think that'd be a real cool name to have if people just called you Smooth Jazz or SJ. It would
It's
shorten
hard
up over time, but
it's hard to give yourself a nickname.
it,
It's
especially
hard to
when it's like one that's complimentary and cool like that. It's
exactly. It's hard. It's hard.
it's hard to do.
I'll tell you something. The one reason I love being maestro, and I'm gonna have to give our
Mhm.
lead producer and fearless leader Yells credit for this one.
Mhm.
Maestro actually became my call sign when I fly,
Ah,
and it was
well then,
and
perfect.
my and my first call sign was Tinkerbell. There's a story behind that. Um, that apparently some people thought was offensive, not realizing that I've been a big fan of Tinkerbell my entire life. Some of those thick legs, man, boy, let me tell you.
Just
So
hey,
I'm
that's right.
I'm just saying, bro.
The
I'm
heart
just
wants what it wants, man.
but you talk to me, family. So, but so anyway, I went call signless for a long time, and then finally, like, some guy yelled out because he found out I was a musician, "Hey, maestro!" Blah
Mhm.
blah blah, and it kind of stuck.
Yeah. It
So
fits. It's great.
exactly. So this has been the coolest name I've ever had because my only other longtime nickname was Stinky, and that's
No,
another
then that
story
one is
for
not
another.
cool. I'm
And
sorry.
and
There's
oh and
no
oh,
way
by
to
the
make it
way,
cool.
and it wasn't meant to be cool. I'm just gonna say it that way. That's another story for another day.
Well, it looks like we got the end of this game wrapping up here. Lakeshore is going to win. Maestro, thank you for the insights. Two things I think we learned tonight for sure. One is some mysteries are going to remain. Those things are in quotation marks, and I guess I can say I work for this or that. Okay, we'll leave it at that. And the second thing is that you have led a very full and interesting life, sir. And I think I and everybody at SimWorld, and hopefully everybody listening, appreciates and benefits from it. But been a thrill doing this with you. I'll let you sign us off here, but
Absolutely,
thank you as
fam.
always for the insights, Maestro.
Absolutely, fam. Always love working with you. We're gonna come back to our highlight game of the night, Cascadia and Heartland, with the two inevitable B-Ron and Siege, the scouting expert, as our middle game of Reigning Trays and Lakeshore comes to an end here. Want to thank our production crew again. Don't forget, give us a shout throughout the week. On everything, again, discord.gg/SimWorldNBA. See the game, be the game. And just remember one very important thing, and you have to remember this. The next time you fill out that application to get the job on the Death Star, do not take the 401k option. Trust me.
Don't forget to correct your professors, folks.
welcome everyone back to Sim World TV for our second game of the night between Cascadia and the Heartland Zombie Stars. We are here at the Parallel Fairgrounds.
The other center position.
I am B-Ron alongside Siege. Second game in a row, Siege. How are you doing, man? How was your
the other center?
I enjoyed it.
VJ George.
I'm enjoying the call so far. I'm excited for this next game. We've got a Heartland Zombies team that's out to prove that they can play with the best still trying to figure stuff out. Some new pieces with Carter Fields, Plachi Young, both guys who really made a difference in the last game, even though they kind of got beat down a little bit. And on the other side, we've got a lot of really talented players. Montel Cage coming off the bench, top 20 player in SimWorld. Jason Tada, really impressive. And Arthur Lattimore, who I think is a sensational player. You can find my write-up on him on 247. But it should be a good matchup. Favor goes to Cascadia on the books, but I'm hoping Heartland Zombies can come up with a tough game here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games where, Cascadia, in my opinion, is the favorite coming in. So, Heartland definitely has a tough task on their hands. Cascadia has some really talented players. Montel Cage, Jason Lattimore, got those three, and that's just those three players. And 11 good role player as well. Heartland, Brian Webb, talented player. They've also have Randolph. Yes, Caden Randolph comes to mind. So they have talent players on their team too. But Cascadia is overall the more talented team on paper. But as we know, Siege, games, unless you're playing D&D or something like that, are not played on paper.
Absolutely, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Any team can beat any team on any given night. So we'll just see what these two teams have in store for us tonight.
Yeah, any given night, and that's the beauty here of SimWorld Hoops and what this league has here, his kind of parity in this league, and that's just just in the games on a day-to-day basis too. It's always a surprise, and that's what makes sports so great. And as any sport really, parity is important, and competitiveness in the league is also important. This is an extremely competitive league, and I'm excited for the second game of the night to get started here in a few.
Oh, I like what they got bumping in the stadium here. I just rode the Ferris wheel outside, and I'm ready to rock. Yep.
Look, I'm glad you could. I had to watch you. I said, I'm not going to do that. That's not my cup of tea, man.
Yep, I found out I have a crippling fear of heights, so ready to roll.
Now you know. We also know we are right here at tip-off. PA announcers getting this arena hyped up. We're all hyped up here too as the tip goes to the Heartland Zombie Stars. Heartland in the red, Cascadia in the white. And that first three does not fall. Dan Levin grabbing the board. Cascadia know what they play the first time. What's the game plan you think for both teams going into the game, Steve?
I think Cascadia's got to go with what they know. They got to use that Arthur Lattimore skill set. Chris Owens is a nice piece at point guard, but Jason Tada is going to be their leading scorer more than likely. Him and Arthur Lattimore are really their bucket getters. And then Montel Cage. You don't see guys as good as Montel Cage coming off the bench on a 5-on-5 team that often, but he's a real spark plug for them. And that's going to be their game plan. Let the bucket getters get their buckets. Everyone else play their role, fill their role. And for the Heartland Zombies, the game plan is going to be the same thing it has been. Try something new. See if you can get something rolling a little better than you did the game before.
There, Banks gets the 3-ball to fall. Cascadia gets on the board first. Last time I was here was the first time I was here, actually, at Parallel Fairgrounds, and we treated to a phenomenal game that saw Arthur Lattimore end the game on a breakaway dunk, pretty much. That was phenomenal. I wonder if we'll get one of those here again tonight, or if it'll be a blowout. I don't think so, but we'll see.
There's always potential for a blowout, and I want to go back to game plan here to give a more specific rundown of what I think the Heartland Zombies should try. Interestingly enough, you look at the stat sheet, you'll find that Ren Losey, the 7-foot center for the Zombies, is their leading assist man. I would like to see them try out maybe running the offense more through him, kind of give him that Sabonis role, that Jokic role. Is he the level of them? No. Would I compare him to them? Not necessarily. Do I think he's a great passer for a 7-footer? Absolutely. And right now, if you're the Zombies, you're willing to try anything. As Dan Levin uses the hustle to get the ball back, put an easy one inside. But yeah, like I said, if you're the Zombies, you want to try just about anything you can. So maybe try running through Losi.
Yes, sir. We're going to take a quick break on the first time. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Parallel Fairgrounds. Cascadia out to a 5-0 lead. Had an early timeout here, but Cascadia out to a 5-0 lead. I know it's only 5 points, but you know, is there any? Do you think there might be a little bit of a cause for concern for Heartland right now, even though it's only 5 points, given how strong Cascadia is?
I mean, call for concern is a broad term. There's call for concern for the Heartland Zombies on the season. In this game specifically, a little bit early, but not yet. Don't sound the alarm yet. Cascadia, keep doing what you're doing. Is there call for concern? Yes. But that's more of an overarching theme at the moment.
Right. Okay, so it's more so on the season versus this game in particular for Heartland, what you're saying.
Absolutely. They should be playing every game, every minute right now with real urgency, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And there's Losi right there, getting it, distributing outside to his guy, Brian Webb for the 3.
Yeah, Brian Webb. Brian Webb was one of the team captains of the team, but he is not. It's Renzo Bryant and Carter Fields are the 2 team captains for Heartland. But I figured, you know, Webb's returning. Woo! And there is Carter Fields. We just spoke about a minute ago. Catching the alley-oop. Getting Heartland in the lead.
Carter Fields is a little bit of a pogo stick. We've seen him catch quite a few alley-oops over the last 2 games here. And guess who was the assist man on that one? Our guy, Ren Losi. Run that offense through him. It's working for him at the moment.
Our guy, Ren Losi, yeah. Look, maybe we'll get a bit of an unconventional thing going on here, and Dan Levin will get offense ran through him too.
Could be exciting.
You never know. There's plenty of time for anything, any crazy thing to happen here in this one. As Cascadia has a 1-point lead, 8-7. Ooh, great pass inside. I don't know how it got through, but it did. Chris Owens for the finish. Point God himself, Chris Owens, getting a bucket, and Cascadia 10-7 lead. It's going to stay that way for a little bit longer.
Renzo Bryant, team captain, he hasn't quite been able to find his rhythm so far in this game. Wasn't quite able to find it in the last game either. Maybe in a little bit of a slump, which is no big deal. Happens to every player. I think for them to find some success, Renzo Bryant's going to need to find his way out of that funk he seems to be in.
Yeah, Dan Levin's fired up about that bucket there before the timeout, as a Zombie Stars burn another timeout. 12-7, Cascadia lead. You know, I had said it before before everything happened, too, before Dre Pope came in and joined the team and really got them moving into a position they are now, I had said in the offseason that Cascadia wasn't going to be as bad as everyone thought they were going to be. They lost a lot of talent. They are the defending champions from last season. So this team is coming in with a target on their back. And despite the loss of talent, the talent they have now, talent they got, Jason Tada, Marcel Cage, Jetson Holiday III, they have some talented kids on the team. And I think that, it seems like anyway, my thought process so far in having them be better than I thought they were going to be on paper and still make the race to 1 is panning out so far so good anyway, in some respects.
Yeah, I mean, they're 500. There's a lot of season left to go. You're 500. You can go up or you can go down. It's really up to you. How are you gonna play the rest of the season? So, I mean, they're not in a bad place. They're not in the best place, but they're a little ahead of where people thought they would be, as you said. So good call on your part. I think they've got some form things to figure out with themselves. What kind of team are we gonna be? What are we gonna do well? What's gonna be our identity? I think if they can figure that out, they can really make a few more strides.
Right, exactly. And just to speak on some of the players again that are on this team now, Montel Cage, former Best Coast baller, and Jason Tada, formerly of Showtime Basketball, left there when the James brothers arrived and decided to join with Cascadia here. And both those players have found a home here in Cascadia, and they've added some more pieces, and this team is just one of those that I think can surprise people given the opportunity and given their record at 500. Again, they've done it for the most part so far. As Dan Levin grabs another rebound.
Dan Levin's having himself a nice little impactful game so far. Got a couple boards, couple buckets inside, and a tough one there.
And one there for Arthur Lattimore. He gets that one to fall as there's some subs here for Cascadia. Got Colt and Amron coming in. Colt, a relatively new player to Cascadia, joined a few weeks ago. And he's had a huge impact for this team already.
Yeah, he's one of those players who has come in, kind of made his mark on a team. We've seen a lot of these players recently in this league, and he's one of them that's really made an impact for the team, and he's one of the reasons they've come around to 500.
That was a huge three-pointer there. One of the new players on Heartland, and Claychi Young got the pass over to his other new teammate. They connected to get that three to fall. 5-point game for Cascadia, still in the lead.
I'm a big fan of Claychi Young so far. I think he needs to be a big part of their team and their identity going forward if they're going to kind of turn things around.
Yeah, it's always really fun to look at those new players who come in, because depending on how long it's been since the season started and whatnot, now it's to the point where we're in let's say season 2, and you're a new player coming in and you're trying to get used to all of the relationships on the team, who knows who's friends with who's not, all that other fun stuff. It's like as a new character coming into a show late, how do you adjust, how do you mesh with the cats?
And I think the best way to be a new guy on the team is come in. You got to know yourself. You got to know what you do well. You got to know what you can offer for a team, and you got to make sure that you don't try to do too much. You can't come in. I mean, some players can. I'm not going to say you can't. Some players can come in, be a superstar on any team, absolutely. But to find success for most players on a new team, the main thing is going to be to know yourself and know your game and know how you can help the team win without trying to do too much. And that's what I want to see here, and it's what I want to see and what I've seen so far from guys like Carter Field, Kirby Ordway, Claychi Young. They're doing a great job of playing their game and not trying to do too much too fast. Not trying to take the Heartland Zombies and make them a really good team right off the rip. They're going to play their role, integrate into the team.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby Ordway, you mentioned him, former Indy Stripe. He's also Mr. Basketball for Indiana. You would expect that a player like that would get a lot of playing time, especially in playing for your home team. That did not happen. What happened is what happened there was a great alley-oop finish. Oh man, 19-13 Cascadia in the lead, but back to Ordway for a second here, Siege. Ordway, Mr. Basketball for Indiana. He was hoping to get a lot of playing time in Indy. That did not happen, so he decided to leave, and he's now with Heartland.
Yeah, I think this is a team he can find his stride with. You know, he's got to take that, and if anything, take it as a learning lesson. You know, he is a really, really good player. Sometimes, like we talked about on our last game, it's about fit. It's about fit. It's about chemistry, and Indy didn't find a good fit with him, so he didn't quite get the minutes that maybe we would expect him to get. He's going to come over to Heartland. He's going to try to make an impact. He's going to try to play his role. Hopefully take that as a learning lesson and kind of, you know, be how can I take the minutes I do get and make them impact.
Yeah, exactly. Colt snaps that ball out of the air to end the first quarter of play here. Cascadia has a nice little lead. We will be back for the second quarter of action here at the Parallel Fairgrounds. Come back. We're going to get second quarter started here pretty soon. Cascadia leads 22-16. Welcome back to the Parallel Fairgrounds. Cascadia leading, beginning the second quarter, 22-16. What did you see in the first quarter from both teams, Siege, that's gotten them to this point, and what do they need to do to either continue or work to get better in the second quarter if you're Heartland?
Well, we saw a lot of Cascadia kind of playing their game. We saw Arthur Lattimore with a couple imposing plays inside. We saw Montel Cage hit a couple shots. For the Heartland Zombies, I have seen some things I like so far. I saw them have some success having Ren Losi facilitate. I'd like to see them continue doing that. We saw Carter Fields, you know, catch some alley-oop dunks. He's playing his game. She made a couple nice assists. Brian Webb, some shots. Kirby Ordway hit a shot. They're making a team effort right now, and that's what it's going to have to be from them. So that's what I would like to see continue for them.
Kirby Ordway puts that three in. Making a 22-19 Cascadia lead. That's Cole Engman with the ball. Three-pointer up. Not good. They haven't done the best job of getting those to fall, Cascadia, to begin the night. I think it might be a problem for them going forward. Especially because Heartland's hitting their threes with some consistency anyway, it seems like.
I think it could be an issue. What I do like about Cascadia is they've got some guys who can be imposing forces inside. Namely Arthur Lattimore, even at small forward, he makes a lot of good plays inside. He's very strong, very athletic. Dan Levin at times could be very strong in there. So I think they're just going to have to, threes aren't falling, they got to find ways to get inside and make buckets there. The rim protection from Heartland Zombies isn't always top tier, so sometimes you got to exploit that.
Yeah, you have to exploit it, and Heartland exploited it on that last possession as Orbit hit another three, the second in a row, and that tied the game up here for Heartland. We got ourselves a game here again, Siege. That's BJ not getting it, teammates there to clean up the mess. Caden Randolph cleaning it up.
We're seeing a nice team effort from Heartland. I'm seeing a lot of guys kind of do their thing out there, make the tough play, get some nice boards, and they're playing hard. And that's all you can ask of a team that isn't doing so well in the record column is play your best, play hard, do what you know you do well. And I'm seeing a lot of things I'm liking from Heartland tonight.
Yeah, it's especially important, like you said, when a team is not playing the best. This is the time where if you're a player or a coach, you want to see what you're made of and what kind of I can't think of the right word, but what kind of energy you're willing to expend for your team to help them get to that next level, be it getting the win tonight or just continuing to get better every day, because at this level that's what it's all about, getting better each day. Sure, the numbers are important and they're nice, but they only matter to a certain select group of people. And really, what makes the difference is the effort. Maestro talks about the dirty dirties all the time. That's what's important. That's what matters at the end of the day at this level anyway.
Absolutely. I mean, you can talent something you can't teach. Hustle is something you can't necessarily teach, but you can instill it in guys. And no matter who you are, whether you're a top talent, a top skill player, whether you've got the size, whether you've got the athleticism, hustle is something you can do no matter what. So that's something that, for a Heartland Zombie squad that hasn't found a lot of success so far, you can always hustle. You can always put it all on the line. And a lot of times when you do that, those other things come out. When you put it all on the line, that skill comes out a little more. You get a little more confidence. You get a little more opportunity to make those skilled plays. As Pleichi Young knocks down a three there, he's been a great asset for them so far. And this team's playing hard, and it's bringing out the best of them.
Yeah, Heartland, looking at their roster, they only have one player that is even ranked in the top 100 here. And that's Brian Webb, to no surprise there. Point guard on this team. But I think that, like you said, if this team can continue to find ways to mesh together, everyone is going to do that at their own pace, too. Not every team is going to figure it out as fast as others. We saw Bay Area and the East earlier tonight. Those teams will figure it out faster than a team like Heartland or like somewhere Latin America, for example. Teams that are struggling, they're going to take a little longer to figure it out, and they might not ever figure it out this season, but they might in other ways. Depends on what you define as figuring it out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, figuring it out can look different for everybody, and I think when it comes to, like you said, the pace at which you do it, it's not always important how quick you do it. What is important is that you never stop doing it. You take every little improvement and you build on it. So that's the main thing when it comes to figuring it out, is that you don't stop moving. You keep pushing. You keep it pushing. That's what Heartland's going to need to do. It would be easy to, let's say they come out of this game with a win. Don't want to jinx them, but let's say they find a way to come out with a win tonight, not getting too overhyped. We got to win. We're looking better. You got to take it. You got to look at it. You got to watch the film. Say, what did we do better? What did we do better tonight? Pleichi Young knocking down another three. You love to see that. That's something to build on. That's something you can do better. Is okay. Pleichi Young can shoot the ball. Let's get him more open threes. Yeah, you got to look at every little thing you do in a game when you start to play better. You got to say, that's what we did that worked. Let's build on that. Let's branch out of that and see what we can do next to that to make us even better. You can't ever stop moving. We talked about it in the last game. You can't get complacent. You can't be satisfied.
Right, exactly. And, like most things in life, in sports especially, it's a iterative process. Every game you figure out what worked and what didn't work, and Coach Skinny Washington for Heartland is always one of those coaches who, from reports, he's always getting his players' opinions on what they thought worked well last game and what they thought didn't work. He's very active with his team, which is good, and you want that if you want to be a coach in this league. You have to be an active member of your team and know what's going on. Be aware of your team's strengths and weaknesses, and ask your players too what they think. because they're the ones that are playing the game, and they can sometimes see things that you can't.
Absolutely, it's got to be a team effort. Everyone's got to be giving input. Speaking of giving input, Ren Losi doing a little bit of everything there, finding an open play Chi who couldn't knock that one down, but he grabs the offensive board. Ren Losi does, and he puts it right back in.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. Come right back. Heartland Zombie Stars on top 32-24, 2:49 left in the second quarter.
Playing jazz.
Playing jazz.
Smoothie.
Making smoothie.
Calendar.
No meetings today. Remember, tandläkare at 9:30.
Fire off.
Fire off.
Open door.
Door open.
Så ska vi sätta en till.
Ja. Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open door.
Repeat that.
Open door.
I didn't understand that.
Hey, open door.
Play on the floor.
Get on the floor. Open the door.
Wrong voice command. Error.
Hey there, with a rock. Open door. Open door.
Higher volume. Higher.
Welcome back to the Parallel Fairgrounds, everyone. The Heartland Zombie Stars on top 32-24 over Cascadia right now. The air has been sucked out of this arena a little bit here for Cascadia. Fans are not really into it, but that'll change, I'm sure, if Cascadia can find a way back into this game, Siege.
Absolutely, and I mean, Cascadia is never out of it. I mean, they got guys who can score the ball. Arthur Lattimore is a monster, Jason Tata, Montel Cage, we'll mention all their names again. New addition Colt has been a great addition. Maybe he can do something here. But I will say, all that aside, if Heartland Zombies keep playing this brand of basketball they've found, they can pull this one out. That could be a big win for them.
Yeah, it very well could be. That is a big alley-oop connection between Owens and Arthur Lattimore. Love to see it. Love to see it with 2:25 to go here in the first half of play. You know, this Heartland Zombie Stars team, they are really interesting. They've got a bunch of new additions, and they've come out here and they've done their part. Play Young being one of the biggest actors in the game right now. He is very close to a double-double just in the first half. 10 points and 6 rebounds already.
Yeah, and Plagy Young is emerging as potentially the new one of the new centerpieces of this team. Him, Carter Fields, and Ren Losi, those are the guys they seem to be able to find success when they play through. So you would love to see them kind of take that and run with it, you know? Like we said, you find the little improvements, you find things that are working, and you build on that. And there he is again, Plagy Young. He heard it. He said, yeah, let's build on this. Let's build on this.
Yeah, exactly. Let's build on this, man. He's looking like the new hotness out here at the Men in Black 2 line. For those of you who remember that movie, love that one.
Great film.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, Arthur Lattimore. What is your frustration, young man?
I heard the Rim said something about his mama.
Yeah, you know what? That'll get it every time. That'll get you every time.
Arthur Lattimore is the kind of guy who seems to play better when he's playing angry.
Yeah, get out of his way and let him go to work. And, you know, he did that in their last game. So no surprise to see him continue the grind here as he's drilling his way to points. That last possession there was amazing.
He is imposing his will on the inside right now, and the Heartland Zombies are gonna have to. That is speaking of finding somebody to, as they knock down that deep three. Speaking of finding somebody to kind of stop Arthur Lattimore right now, that's another thing I would really like to see them work on. You know, we talk about a lot who they should run the offense through. Plague's emerging as a great offensive player. Ren Losi, great distributor. Carter Fields, great inside. I would like to see them find some defensive identity. Someone, even if that's, you know, you start with finding one guy who's your lockdown guy, whether it be a paint lockdown guy or a perimeter lockdown guy, who's going to step up and be that defensive anchor, whether it be a perimeter anchor, whether it be a defensive leader, somebody who kind of takes the role, kind of talks on defense. You know, that's a big thing. As it seems they can't find it, as Arthur Lattimore gets another inside and the foul. I mean, this is why you need that. You got a guy who's just imposing his will. Somebody on this team has to be able to step up, and this is a perfect moment to find that development. Step up and say, I'm going to stop Arthur Lattimore.
Yeah, they're actually looking at this one for a review to see if the shot got off in time. Now, because of the score situation, it's difficult for us to tell if it went off in time. So we'll see what the referees say. But that is a tough shot all the same regardless. As you know, we can't see a shot clock here from this angle that we have, but an angle that you guys are seeing at home. But you know, we'll see what they decide, and then we'll go to halftime. And it looks like they are going to count the bucket. So it is a 37-34. Heartland Zombie Stars lead heading into halftime. Arthur Lattimore said, you know what? Suspense is good, and I'm going to keep y'all in it for a little bit longer. Let's get to halftime with a bit of momentum. Steve, what did you see in that first half from both teams that really made you go,
Well, it's clear from Cascadia's side. We saw Arthur Lattimore impose himself all quarter there. I'd like to see him keep doing that. From the opposite side, keep finding Plagy Young, keep finding Plagy. He's playing nice right now, so that's the key for both teams. Go to the hot hand right now.
Go into the hot hand, yeah. Plagy is out here playing, making his impact for his new team in the Heartland Zombie Stars. They've got some players over there. Again, new players stepping up, making their names for themselves. Plagy Young, Kirby Ordway, we are going to take a quick break, but Heartland has a lead, 30-34. Come back for the second half action here at the Carabao Fairgrounds. Welcome back. Second half action here, getting ready to start. Cascadia, the home team, struggling in this one. 36-34. You know, Coach Kenny Washington, he entered the locker room mad, frustrated at the end of the first half, and he came back out with that same energy. Steve, I'm not too sure if that's a good thing for his team because they're winning or not, but maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll absolutely see how that one goes for him. And a quick bucket there for Brian Webb, a guy who's been a little bit quieter than his usual self in this game. Hasn't taken quite as many shots as we're used to seeing from him.
Yeah, we're not seeing him be the, like you said, the main shot taker for this team, which some would say is a good thing for this team going forward. If the ball isn't in his hands too much, he can't take as many shots and put you in bad positions. But that's not me saying it. That's what someone else would say, of course.
I mean, I'll take it, and I'll say that I would agree with that. I mean, look, Brian Webb's a great scorer. I mean, he can score the basketball. What I think Brian Webb would be great at, we're looking at this team, maybe a little bit of a reformation with these new players, with Ren Losey emerging as by far the best facilitator on this team over the starting point guard, Brian Webb. But what I can see Brian Webb as is an absolute, I mean, he's a bucket. He is a bucket. There's no arguing with that. I think what he would be great as this team reforms themselves, finds a new identity, maybe try bringing him off the bench, have him be that spark plug, have him be that guy in the second unit who can do that, who can go and just shoot his shots, you know. And when he's hot, great. And when he's not, you got the starters kind of giving him a lead, giving him a cushion, hopefully, things like that. And if there's not a cushion, he can come in, get a couple of those buckets, kind of help get them back. That could be a role that could be explored for Coach Skinny Washington to put Brian Webb in. Potentially a sixth man. I mean, he would be a phenomenal sixth man.
Yeah, there's definitely options there. It's always a good idea to tinker with things and see how things go. So that definitely is something to try. And, you know, considering all the talent that Heartland has between Webb, Jaya Winterton, and Caden Randolph, those are three returning players to this team. You know, maybe those three come off the bench and lead that second unit. I don't know how that would work, but you could do it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's going to take some tinkering, but at this point, tinkering's warranted. Right now, whatever tinkering they did between last game and this one seems to be working for them.
Absolutely. They have a lead over Cascadia. It's 41-36, 6:15 to go in the third quarter as Cascadia is trying to fight their way back into this one. Arthur Lattimore said, put it all on my shoulders, and I will attempt to do it myself. Of course, even that time it didn't work out. There is a three-pointer from Brian Webb. Gets that one to go. We just talked about it, Siege.
Yeah, I mean, he can hit shots. He can be that spark plug. He can extend a lead if the lead's already had. I mean, that's what he does well. I'm not sure that he's a starting point guard, a facilitator, something like that, but he is a great player. Arthur Lattimore continues to impose himself inside. I mean, find a guy to stop him or at least slow him down.
Absolutely, went right after BJ George, and I really like that move there from Lattimore to go right, take it right to BJ George. One, talk about point guards for just a second. You talk about Brian Webb and how he's not your typical facilitator point guard. What kind of point guards what kind of point guards would you like to have on your team if you needed one or two? You know, one for starters and one for off the bench. And we have a quick word from our producer, Yells. Here, Yells, what you got for us?
Hey, guys. Appreciate y'all having me on for a second. I just saw an old Seattle Sonic veteran, Xavier McDaniel, walk into the building. Asked him what he was doing here. He said that he was here to check out Arthur Lattimore. Asked him what about Arthur Lattimore's game it is that he liked to see and what he wanted to see. Said that the young man reminded him of a young Carmelo Anthony. Just needs to work on some mid-range game, and he wants to see him work on pacing himself. But he's here in some type of scouting capacity, and I just wanted to fill everyone in. Back to you guys.
Thank you for that, Yells. High praise there, Carmelo Anthony for Arthur Lattimore.
I mean,
there
Carmelo
goes that man
Anthony,
again.
we saw him play a lot of bully ball in his early days. That was one of Carmelo's greatest strengths. He was imposing. I mean, he could shoot the ball, obviously, but he was imposing in his early days. He played a lot of what we would call bully ball, and Arthur Lattimore taken after that tonight. Arthur Lattimore must have seen him walk in because he turned it up.
Yeah, he most definitely did. Back to my question regarding point guards, though, Steve. If you had to have two, one for a starter role, one for a bench role, what kind of player are you looking for?
I mean, when I'm looking for a starting point guard, it of course varies on like the team that you've got, you know, set in place. You know, this team does have a Ren Losey at center who facilitates well, a Placey Young who facilitates well. You don't necessarily need a super incredible facilitator like to be your point guard necessarily when you have other facilitators around. But for the most part, for me, when I'm looking for a point guard, I want him to do two main things. I'd love it if he could be a great scorer. What I want from my point guard, I want hard-nosed defense. I want a guy who can find an open teammate, and I want a guy who can lead a team. That's what I want from my point guard. I want a guy who's a vocal leader, who rebounds when he can. You know what I mean? You don't want your point guard to be the best rebounder on your team, but I want a guy who can go chase those rebounds while your big guys box out the other bigs. And I want a guy who can find the open teammates. As a guy who's coming off the bench, again, like I said, of course depends on the team you have in place, but I want a guy who can score off the bench at both of my guard roles. I want them to come in, I want them to score. If I have other scorers off the bench, I want him to come in, and I want another facilitator there at point guard.
That is very great insight there. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Anything to you.
We saw a great pass across the court on Zombie's last session down. We saw another one there. That one didn't fall, but we're seeing some really great passing from Zombie Stars on offense here these last couple of possessions. As Jetson Halliday, the third shot, can't fall there. He's one who I had high praise for in the offseason and coming into Cascadia when he committed there. I was very happy to see him go to I feel like he fit very well in that environment, and he hasn't really shown up so far for Cascadia this season as a new player.
I mean, not yet, but you know, like we said, Cascadia is at 500. They've had their fair share of trying to figure it out this year. Jetson Halliday is kind of just a part of that right now. And if he wants to be part of this reshaping of his team, maybe trying to get them over 500 instead of 500, you know, he's got to. And I talk about this a lot. I've talked about it with Reza Red. I've talked about it with a lot of guys that I think one of the most important things when you're on a team trying to find their identity and improve is you can't be too worried about how many chances am I getting. I'm not getting enough minutes. I'm not getting enough plays drawn up for me. I'm not getting the guard, the best player on the other team. What's important when you're trying to carve out a role is you got to take the chances you get and you got to make them count. You got to take every and that we talked about that when we talked about hustle and always playing your hardest. You have to take every chance you get, and you have to show out for them. You got to always be ready to play. You got to have a next man up mentality. No matter if you're getting 2 minutes or you're getting 20 minutes. If you're getting 2 minutes, take those 2 minutes and play the best 2 minutes of anybody on the team the whole game. That's what matters is those little things.
Right, exactly. Lattimore had the great bucket on the offensive end, but here gets hit with the defensive 3-second violation. So Brian Webb back to the line for a free throw, and they'll retain possession as well. Those are the kind of things you can't have, especially when you're trying to get back into a game, too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a mental error.
Yeah, mental errors are the ones that the coaches hate the most. As play will resume here. Go ahead, Steve. Let me cut you off.
You do have to take a little bit of responsibility as a coach. I mean, players got to take responsibility for that too. A mental error is on a player, but as a coach, you got to see that that's a mental error you make. You got to drill it into him. You can't make those errors. I think that's a lot, especially at this level of basketball. When you're talking about high school, you're talking about coach has to take a lot more responsibility than the coach has to take in the pro game, for example. A coach has to take all the responsibility because not only are you trying to build this team, you're trying to build these players. You're trying to develop them, make them better, turn them into those pros who the coach can kind of just set the team up. You know, at this level, you're not just setting a team, you're not just setting a scheme, you're building individual players so that they can be the best they can be. So those mental errors do also come back down on the coach because you're going to say next time in practice, all right, we made this mistake. We're gonna run a drill to fix this for the next 30 minutes. You make this mistake again, we're gonna be running those suicides we talked about. Being
Right.
a coach at this level involves a lot more than just putting in a defensive scheme or an offensive scheme. It involves really developing players.
Developing young men for life in and outside of basketball, and that's the beauty of what we're doing here in Simba Hoops. There's another 3-ball that falls. It's Lechi Young once again getting another 3-pointer to go. He has really come out here and made his mark from 3-point land. And that's a great block too.
There it is. DJ George heard us talking. He said, I can be that player that steps up. He couldn't try to get the rebound and see if he can stop him again.
Yeah, Heartland love to get the stop here. I was playing great defense, and they do as the ball rattled in and out. Thought that was going down, man. There's some front. Oh, jeez. Ren Losi up a 3 there. That one didn't go.
And if you're
Cascadia. Go ahead.
If you're Ren Losi, you'd love to see him develop that 3-point shot. That's all I was gonna say. I mean, that would add a lot to his game.
Yeah, it would add a lot to his game. We're gonna see what the fourth quarter can add to this one, as Heartland Zombie Stars are out in front. Come back for the final quarter of action here at the Parallel Fairgrounds.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Fourth quarter action. Put your fours up, everyone. Heartland Zombie Stars out in front, 52-44, as we are in for what will hopefully be a good finish to this one. Siege, at this level, there is all, and with the teams we've seen be built, with, Gotham 5, Bay Area Breakers, those teams who on paper look really good and look almost like NBA caliber teams in terms of talent they have. There's always a question of, is winning more important or is it player development? And at this level, me personally, I would say that player development is more important than winning. What about you?
It's really a balance. If I've got to choose one, it's tough. It depends on where your team's at. It depends on the personnel you have on your roster. There is something to be said for player development being better. You want to see these guys set up, to go on to bigger and better levels, bigger, better things in life. We love this game, and it is very important to us, but at the end of the day, it's a game. Player development, human development is very important, but at the same time, winning has to be important to you. If you're going to instill in these guys, and that's speaking of player development, Plachi Young is coming on as a star. But to finish that out, it's really a balancing act to me. It's hard to call one more important than the other at this level. But I think if you're a coach, you got to say player development's important. I don't know if it's more important. You kind of stumped me with that one here. I think it goes. How's your season going? Can we turn it around? Because if so, it's going to be who can I put on the floor that's going to give me the best chance to win. If you're looking forward to how can we be the best team we can be next year, which at some points, as much as you want to focus on winning, sometimes you got to say, how can I put us in the best position to be better next year? It's a little early in the season for that, but at some point that does become more important.
So for you, it depends on where you are in the season and what's going on around everything else. Basically, it's not a kind of either or thing. It's it's an evaluate and make a decision.
Absolutely, I don't think, especially at this level when you're dealing with kids, it can't be a super black and white thing, because if the kids are seeing that you're putting player development in front of winning, that can affect morale, mentality. Your mentality's got to go out there and win every game. You can't be giving the young kid on the end of the bench who makes a lot of mistakes and stuff, too many minutes just because you want to see them get game time. You do have to put your team in the best position to win.
Right. As Dan Levin gets this two-handed jam there, so that also goes into the recruiting aspect of things. As we all know, recruiting is always going on here in Simworld Hoops. So if you are a potential player out there looking to join a team, continue to do your part and play well and pick up games you get, and coaches, teams will reach out to you. And if you are a coach or want to be a coach and or player in Simworld Hoops, be sure to join the Discord at discord.gg/Simworld NBA. Come and join up, be a player or a coach. But getting back to our discussion here, after the Arthur Lattimore jam, of course, that's 25 points now for him. When talking about player development and winning versus those two, how much does recruiting in that player factor? Because again, let's look at this year, for example. We saw the Bay Area Breakers combine their talents of Hyman, Anderson, Pope, and we saw Gotham 5, Majer Williams, the Williams brothers, the Matthews twin, the Matthews cousins, and Keon Anthony. Those are stacked recruiting classes. We're talking about at the high school level.
Absolutely. I mean, both player development and a winning mentality go into recruiting. If you're looking at a player who's got his mind set on how can I make it to the next level, winning is not always most important to those players. They want to become the best player they can be. And a lot of times those players are the most talented ones and the ones you want on your team so you can have that winning mentality. So if a player sees that you're developing guys and you're getting guys, top tier, top 10 D1 offers, they're going to say, hey, I want to play for this coach. I want to play for this team. That also being said, a lot of guys do want to win. But I think when it comes down to this level, player development might be a little bit more important because, you know, we saw the likes of Jason Tada, who you know, left his old team, came over here because he said, I'm going to be able to get more minutes here. I'm going to be able to develop my game a little bit better here. And for some players, I think guys who aren't quite there yet, ready to be that top tier college player or that top tier pro player, seeing a coach who's really good at player development is really attractive. That's really what they want to see.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I think, you know, also the recruiting and, you know, best player conversation and all that stuff really shines on certain teams. One of the examples I always go to is comparing last season's D. Woodley from Gulf Coast Lockdown. He was the sole best player on that team. There was limited talent around him to really help him out. As that three-pointer there falls, that was Renzo Bryan, I believe, who got that one to fall.
Timeout.
As Cascadia takes the timeout. But back to the conversation here. When you have a player who is the de facto one and only talented player on that team, you know, the sole star, and you come into a situation where there's now a bunch of talent around him. Does that star player, depending on the personality, obviously, that star player can become a little more maybe antsy, perhaps, in terms of, hey, I might not be the focal point anymore. It's a problem for me. I want to be the star. I want to show my skills at this level. Is that I can't think of the right word, but is that really important?
Are you gonna let this fly?
I think, you know, and you touched on it, having to do a lot with personality and player type. Because we talked about, you know, a couple guys for Bay Area Breakers who have been willing to kind of share the spotlight. While on the other hand, you got Jason Tada, who wasn't necessarily willing to share that spotlight. And I don't think either one is wrong. I don't think either one is better. Everyone's got to do what they think is best for them. So it's a tough one. And like you said, it comes down to player personality, player type. Some players are going to do better as the focal point of a team, and some players are going to do better when they have other talent around them. So, yeah, I agree with you on it's a personality thing, it's a player type thing.
Most definitely. And speaking of players, in this game, our Player of the Game award, I look, it usually goes to a player on the winning team. Now the game isn't over yet, but Zombies have a nice little lead here built up. But I still think the Player of the Game, for me personally, goes to Arthur Lattimore. What about you, Siege?
I think my Player of the Game, if Zombie Stars can hold off Arthur Lattimore from completing a quick comeback here, mine's gonna go to Play Chi Young. Play Chi Young is showing out here. He showed out in the last game. He's showing out here. He's turning into a guy who's gonna win a few Player of the Games for Heartland Zombies if they can get a couple more wins. So if they can pull this one out, I'm gonna go with Play Chi Young. If Arthur Lattimore can lead a comeback here, he's the obvious choice for Player of the Game.
I do like that. We're going to come back for the last 2:05 of the fourth quarter. Back to Parallel Fairgrounds. .205 left to go in this one. The Zombie Stars are closing in on a win here over Cascadia. 65-58. Siege, there's a little bit of time left in this game for Cascadia. What do they have to do to get back in this one and send the Phantom happy?
I got 2 words. King Arthur. Feed him. If they're not going to double him, let him go to work. If they are going to double him, be ready to knock down a shot. I mean, go back to the well here. He's got exactly half their points actually right now. So go ahead, go to the well. There's 2 minutes left. See what you can do. Draw up some play for him. And like I said, if they're not going to double him, Zombie Stars have shown that there's not quite someone who can handle him one-on-one tonight. So that's what they'll need to do to get back in this game.
And there's a good way to start it on defense with the steal, but now they got to capitalize here on the offensive end. The question is, can they do it? As you know, we are on another double-double watch. Dan Levin, he has 12 rebounds, 8 points. One more bucket here. We get him a double-double. He's a quiet player. Both on and off the court. He gets it done in very sneaky ways.
Absolutely one of those unheralded guys who does a lot for the team, but doesn't always have his name in the spotlight. He's playing a great game tonight. Again, very quiet, while Arthur Lattimore has been very loud as he cuts the lead to 5.
Very loud. 31 points for Arthur Lattimore. 65-60. Zombie Stars holding on to a slim lead with 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the game. This is going to be a very exciting finish. Great stop there defensively, but they got to get another one here. Shot clock winding down. There's 3 seconds left. Back-to-back defensive stops. Cascadia.
Here they come.
Taking possession of it.
Back to the well. Back to the well. There he is in the post.
both him and Dan posting up. There it is. Now he's going to find somebody to stop him, right? Shot clock might. There's 5 seconds on it.
Oh, with that nice little midi.
Arthur Lattimore hand in his face, and it doesn't even matter.
He's going to make this a game here.
Yeah, he's going to single-handedly do it himself. And there's a miss. Cascadia coming back with it the other way. We saw a crazy finish in their last game. We got time for another one. A 3-pointer will tie the game, but they got to act quick. Clock down. 10 seconds on the game clock. Shot clock at 8. Reball up. No good. Not able to get the rebound. And now the fouling is going to happen. Chris Owens draws the foul. Zombie Stars burn their final timeout. That was the move right there. That was the last chance. Last gasp for Cascadia.
And it wasn't a bad shot. They got a decent shot off. And you know, we talked about it before in the last game. Let's see if you can hit free throws when you're tired right here. All he's got to do is knock in one to basically seal this game. So see if you can do that.
I believe they have one more left to give.
Okay.
Before the free throws come into play. So we'll get an inbound pass, and ideally we'll get a quick foul. Then we'll see a free throw. But like you said, they have to. But the good thing for Cascadia though is they do have one timeout, so they can advance the ball to half court. So at least they have that if they, take the free throw and miss, get the rebound quick, timeout, advance it, chance to run a quick play for a 3. But again, everything at this point has to happen quick because there's only 4 seconds left, we'll say. 4.4, we'll round down because those are the rules. 5 or above, give it a shot. 4 left, let it rest. You know the rules, man. And there's the foul. A lot of time came off of there, too. It was all the Lattimore. Got the foul.
All right, Lattimore, let's see if you can knock these down. Really just need one here.
It's VJ
Not Lattimore, VJ George. Lattimore with the foul. That's on me.
That's okay. That's why I'm here, man. That's why, look, me and the PA guy got your back, man.
Fix my mistakes. I appreciate it.
VJ George, first free throw, he gets it.
That'll all but put it away.
And 66-62. And makes the second one. That one
will put it away.
Definitely going to put this one away. Cascadia burns their final timeout. 2.7 seconds left here in this one. But it's all over but the crying, folks. At this point. Siege, a great win for Heartland. Coming into this one in a game that I personally thought was going to go Cascadia's way.
I was right there with you, but I'm happy and I'm excited about the development I'm seeing from this Heartland Zombies team. I would hope to see them build on this, take the things they did well and do them again. I would love to see that this wasn't just they had a great game and Cascadia didn't have a great game other than Narsville Lattimore. So only time will tell with that one.
Yeah, because a lot of times that's what happens, you know. One team just simply plays better than the other one, which, I mean, yeah, that's true. But there's so many things that go into that as well. But that's the discussion for another day. We don't have enough time for it. As the final shot does fall, well, it goes Colt Amron with that one. It was Eric Banks with that one. That last shot for Cascadia. But the Heartland Zombie Stars get the win in this one, 67-64. They improved to 2-7 on the year, while Cascadia is going to fall to under 500 at 5-6 on the season. Been a great night here at SimWorld Hoops TV. Thank you all so much for watching, joining in with us on YouTube. Keep up on Discord and everywhere else. For Siege and our producer Yells, PA Guy, I am B-Ron. Have yourself a wonderful evening.